God, that was horrific. I couldn't even stop it.
Don't worry about it.
No button will work. No, come on. I mean, I didn't hit the drop down. And so I wasn't in your,
Don't
yes.
worry about it. It's okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, grumble, grumble. So I apologize. Let
No.
me get on over here and get you, yeah, and get your shit popping. Yeah. Lord have mercy. I mean, it was no way for me to stop it either.
Hmm.
Oh gosh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, peace and Uncle and Maya, everybody. And thank you all for showing and coming to Smoking
Well,
Conversations with Sakina-Ra.
So you're not gonna
Yay!
even let me play it? Like I have to
Yes,
find
I
it and
am
play
going to
it?
let you play it, but I'm just going to say a few words until you get it popping and let me know when you're ready.
mhm.
But
Okay,
while
I
they
think
wait,
I'm
I just
ready.
want to thank them for showing. Okay, go ahead, boo.
Okay. Mm-mm-mm.
Away we go.
No, I guess we not going no
No,
daggone place.
we sound like we was going.
She got style, grace. She got attitude. Feel it much in her touch. Show my gratitude. She got style.
There we go.
Sakina, I gotta ask. You live in North Dakota?
Yes, I do.
Wow. So that's one of the Dakotas. You got South and North Dakota. Wow. What? Why didn't I know that the first time that we all joined up here on the podcast, whatever?
You didn't
Wow, man.
ask. Right. You didn't
You know
ask. So
what?
how would you
Yeah, I'm gonna
know
be
that?
honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you, Sakina. And man, uh, uh, I hope you don't shoot the messenger or whatever. But actually, I always thought that states like North Dakota had very, very little to absolutely no black people.
Um, Actually, it doesn't, but it does.
Okay. So it does. It has a black population there.
Yes, it does.
Oh, okay. Well, I learned
It's
something new.
actually a very, very mixed diversity here, right?
Wow. Okay.
But it's more African than African American.
People from the motherland from Africa.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So
Wow.
and
That's
it's more the diversified factor is
uh,
less African Americans here.
I see. Yeah.
And so it's more diversified far as anybody
Okay.
other than
Or were you born and raised there?
no, I'm actually born and raised from Chicago.
Shot down. All right.
Right.
Shot town, Chicago. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But I would love to have you as well come back and visit us
Mm-hmm.
because I was on another channel privy
Mm-hmm.
to some of your experience on some of these wonderful vacations.
Oh yeah. I
Yes.
possibly got one coming up next year.
Yeah.
I want to go to Rome and then skip over to Sicily. I want to altogether spend 9 days, first 3 4 days in Rome, and then over to Sicily for another 2 or 3 days, and then come back and be ready. Because I always like going places where there's a lot of history and culture.
Exactly. And one
Mhm.
of the things I admired when you experienced that trip to one of the festivals, but at that time I forget what it was called. It was you guys called it a carnival.
Yeah, Carnival in
Okay.
Rio de Janeiro.
Right. And so I didn't expect that to be a carnival. I was under the misconception of what a carnival was.
Mm-hmm.
And so that whole experience for that and the way you explained it and everything, and shout out to Gemini for even bringing you as a guest that time, right?
Well, I'm honored. I really am. I really
Yes.
enjoy it. Yeah.
And so that whole experience, people don't understand it sometimes because you don't go there, that whole, you brought it to us. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Sakina
Yeah.
And
has a
so
good memory.
you brought a whole experience, not only because that carnival brought other countries
Yeah. I was getting
to
ready to
that
say that.
carnival, and you
Yeah.
brought a whole lot of historical information with that whole thing. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I know a lot of people want to bring in some stuff, extra stuff or whatever. No, but you brought that experience. Why? Because you were there. And I appreciated that. And so I
You're
want to
more
get
than
more
welcome.
into that
You.
when, but I appreciated that, honestly. That
Okay.
was wonderful.
Thank you. That was.
Yes, that was a journey to remember.
Oh, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. And but it feels so good, Sakina and Gemini, that when you picture this years and years before you do it, and when it actually happens and you actually touch down in that location, and it's something you've been wanting to do for me, and then it finally happens. It's almost like they talk about a dream come true, just like it's no different than you hear a lot of people who fulfill their destinies and their dreams, and they've been dreaming about it and working towards it for many, many years. And when it finally manifests itself, it's almost like, wow, like here's someone, it's one of those pinch me moments. I can't believe this is really happening. I have to pinch myself. So yeah.
And also you can imagine for one moment or one day or 2 days to actually be in another person's shoes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And that's something a lot of us don't actually look at like that. Right? We sometimes want to picture ourselves in somebody's shoes, but we can always step out. So we can see it, but we can't see it.
Yes.
You can think about it, but you can't think about it. Why? Because you can always think about your side real quick. So you can say, no, I can't see that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because you can always jump out anytime you want to.
Yeah.
And that's not really looking at it like that. You see? And so, again, this is why we appreciate, or they say we cherry pick, or you'll say you nitpick, or you'll say this and that. But you can call it what you want to, but you better call it what it is.
Yeah. No doubt.
You know? So this is one of the things we try to balance out. Right. But at the end of the day, you got to appreciate the person for who it is.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
So that's just the bottom line. Just appreciate the person for who it is. You can't keep comparing things to other things if this ain't that.
Right. Exactly.
Right? Things evolve. It changes all the time. Right. And this is one of the great lessons was learned today.
Yeah.
Right. What was that word?
What was learned today?
What was that
Analytical?
word? Oh, because when things
analytical, earlier, you mean earlier?
Yeah, right. Because when things change and evolve all the time, you have to be ready to be able to go with that flow.
Yeah, you do.
Right. Because things evolve and change all the time.
They do. They
right.
Really do.
And so you gotta
okay, but wait though. Wait, can we stop right there? Listen, when you said, because earlier Dewey said, well, it's adaptability. And I said, oh, well, we have to come back, put a pin in that. Remember I said that? I said, we're going to put a pin in that, and we're going to come back, and we're going to let it marinate just a little bit. So when you're saying right now that, that for YouTube, you all see it as adaptability is analytical, which is kind of deep. It's like, because now I see what you mean. Just the way you're describing it. You never know what life will bring you, but in the same breath, it's more adaptable than analytical, but I can see how it's analytical. I can see why Dewey said that earlier.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I didn't catch that before, right? I didn't catch that before. Yeah.
Right. So you're always ready, or you can problem solve it. It's not why, because you've already stayed organized enough. You don't pile up all these things waiting for tomorrow and all these other things. These are your organization and you're organized. You don't pile all these things up. You try to pace them out. You try to organize them out so that, because we don't know what tomorrow is going to look like. So we try to handle all the things that we do. These are our goals. These are our structures. This is how we do. You see, and it's a practice, right? And so this is just our way of life.
Yeah.
Right? This is our structure. This is something we do ordinarily.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And so this is kind of the things that just bases, like somewhere along the line they became like, we want to say rules or morals,
Mm-hmm.
values, ethics, principles, culture.
Yeah.
Right. And at one point, again, we say things in common or societal and this and that. So when we started talking about the universal principles or precepts or what have you, it started off for me as a journey, and it really got convoluted and misunderstood and what have you. So at this point, I want to start off with some of the things of this, which is this book right here. And it's the Ancient Encyclopedia of
Oh, interesting.
right?
No, listen, why do y'all always keep me out of the conversation over here? That's
I
why I
know
like
you're
to come
not.
over
You're
here
in the
sometimes.
conversation.
Yeah, jump in at
I
any
like to come over
time.
here sometimes.
You
Y'all
always
know-
in this conversation. Where are you not in it,
y'all,
boo?
y'all, did you not see her pick out that 1643 edition of mint condition? I have nobody don't know back in that.
What conversation you not in?
The sharpest one in the drawer, and come on.
What conversation you not in, girl?
Understands me. Like
What you not in?
Right? Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Nah, go ahead and be
You not
deep.
in? You already know. Dewey don't know it at all, but you know where we at. So where we not at? Because right now I want to bring in this conversation because everybody knows that we are already into the universal laws.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, to go into the universal laws, I want to start off with this book right here, which is the Ancient Egypt Encyclopedia, because I want to point out that the life of the Egyptians, for far as everybody knows, that the Egyptians were practice funerary practices. However, they also lived a life of what was called cosmology, right? Because the Egyptians also knew, well, they were feared of the death. It's not of death, but they knew about death, right? And so because they knew about death, and it wasn't like they worshiped death, but they had the same respect for death as they did for life.
Yes, they did. Absolutely. You're right.
Yeah. And so because of that, they had this thing that they had to have, even when they respected the God. So in life, they respected all animals, all of creation, for they knew that this existed prior to them. So knowing that, their respect for life and storms and all of these things was to balance out by taking care of the world as in living, right? And when the dead died, if they knew that they wasn't doing something right by respecting these things in death, right, and the trees and the animals and this and that, they feared that these things was the effect of that. And that's all this was. So I'm going to read how this was and how it was still carried on, but I'm not reading all of that. I'm just going to show you this book, and you can get this book. I just want to read these pieces because they didn't do this, but I'm going to just tell you. So in cosmology, it says the so-called creation myth of ancient Egypt's legend that they assume the political and religious significance in each new era of the nation. The number of the variety of these myths provided insight into the development of the Egyptian spiritual values and clearly delineated the evolution in certain divine cults. I'm going to get into that one too. To begin with, the ancient people of the Nile did not concern themselves with doctrinal or theological purity or procession. They did not adhere to logical procession matters or religious significance. Spiritual consequences and harmonial unity, both in the individual and in the nation, were the elements that kept Egyptians secure and stable. Their religious aspirations and cultic in nature depended upon ritual and celebrations, upon manifestations and ideas and values. Dogma and doctrines did not concern them specifically. In fact, the Egyptians were uncomfortable with spiritual concepts that were in the that demanded logical and reasonable developments. It was enough for them to see God. They hear or his concepts for the land and the minor cosmic harmony in their astronomical abilities to glean them from the sky. Their basic system creation in all areas in Egypt's development, where they found the Heliopolis and Hermopolis, Memphis, and Thebes, and other temples, provided their own cosmic information for the four major ones to come from the framework of the spiritual religions of Egypt. Cosmologic texts, tenets in the city of Hermopolis are available from the pyramid texts of the Old Kingdom, which are scant and appear in many references to what were considered common knowledge at this time. And then it says the cosmology theory was sophisticated and commanded a considerable amount of metaphysical awareness, something that was defeated in the cult from the beginning. So if they was just practicing this in their lifestyle and they wasn't worried about that and doing that, they were just a way of life. Mm-hmm. So they didn't do these things that everybody is talking about. Mm-hmm. So in a cult, which was a building, and the god that they practiced was later on where we call in Hermes or Hermetis, which is, I didn't want to add these things to my slide. So Hermopolis was also called Kemenu, the 8 towns, Jehudi, which was also the house of Thoth. Who was Thoth? We know who Thoth was, but also Thoth was the Ogdog. The Ogdog was also, he was part of the Ogdog, but the Ogdog was also Osiris, Shu, Nut, Tefnut, X, Y, and Z. We can go on and on and on with that. So some of these people we're going to name, because some of these people we know other people have mentioned, and we can get into that if you want to, because when we go to the gods, you'll hear these names. They've used these names in other religions. We're not going to point them religions out, but then you want to talk about cults and cultics and this and that, right? I'm going to tell you, just get this book for yourself, because I didn't want to add that to my thing. But you see Khnum, Kron, Cronus, and we already know Thoth. You got Ogdog, everybody that we already know in here. But get this book, or I'm going to point you to another.
Is there a question in there?
Go ahead. Anybody? Go ahead. You got a question?
No, go ahead, LaShawn. We're listening.
Oh, I thought you had a question.
Did you have a question, LaShawn?
Is there a question in there?
Oh, in the chat?
No, you gave a lot of, that was a lot of information to, to speak, to say. So I was just wondering, did you have a question wrapped in there somewhere?
Oh, no, this is just information on Hermopolis,
Oh, okay. I got you then.
Hermes.
Yeah. Okay.
Just to
Okay. Okay.
define
Yeah. Yeah.
Hermes
Yeah. Yeah.
thrice, right? Just to get
Mhm.
into Hermes thrice and where that came from, in Egypt from the beginning. This is to cover the Egyptian part, and just to say that there was two pieces to that. So they, although they did practice the Egyptian and funeral practices, their life
Mhm.
was not surrounded in funeral practices. Yes,
Yeah.
they did have that, but they had a regular lifestyle. So, in order to get into a regular lifestyle of that, and don't just think about funeral practices, there was a separation.
Mhm.
Start off with this right here, and
Let me
you.
let me let me let me ask you this, Sakina.
Mhm.
Does that book, to your knowledge, cover like all 25 dynasties of Egypt, of ancient? They say Egypt, but so I just feel the need to sometimes say Kemet, ancient Kemet.
This is an
Does that book cover all
encyclopedia.
25 dynasties?
No, this is an encyclopedia. If you want to get
Oh,
into, if you want to get into the dynasties, I'm going to tell
okay.
you, you can get you should get now a good book for that for me, right? Um, I'm sorry. A good book for me was because I just recently started into this book,
Sakina be
but
having a lot of books, y'all. She really
listen,
do.
this is a good book, right?
Let me see, Sakina. Now, what's the name of that one?
This book is called Egypt, Temples, Men, Women, and God. This is an awesome
Okay.
book, right?
Yeah, it look like
Gets
it's
into
very. Yes,
all.
I would want in my collection because I'm heavy into ancient Kemet and Kemetic principles myself, and me and Sean have talked about that at work before, and it's just amazing. I mean, it's just and having made what I call that pilgrimage. I mean, I know people go to play like I mentioned earlier. I said like going places where there's a lot of rich history and culture, but going there to me was like paying homage and paying pilgrimage to the mighty ancestors. So it
Now,
wasn't just a really what you call a
Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah.
It was just to pay
Yeah.
pilgrimage because of the fact that they were such a mighty civilization.
to go deep like that,
Uh-huh.
Black
Black
Osiris,
Osiris. Okay. Okay.
right? Jonathan Owens wrote this one,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
This
Yeah.
one goes hard.
Hmm.
This one goes so hard, I stopped in the middle.
Have you ever,
Wow.
Sakina? Have you ever actually been to Memphis? I mean, have you ever actually been to ancient Kemet before?
Listen, I'm allergic to so much stuff. I'm scared. I'm
Are
just
you
gonna tell the
scared?
truth.
Okay.
I'm scared because
Yeah.
I have to take so many shots just to be here.
Oh, I understand. Well, I didn't have to take no shots when I went, but yeah, if you did decide to go, I guess if you don't mind a 15 and a half hour plane ride, over there. So
Yeah, that might be another one for me.
yeah, because when I went from Chicago, Chi-Town, your neck of the woods, going from Chicago to Amman in Jordan in the Middle East was like 15 and a half hours.
Mm.
Yeah. And then from Jordan to Cairo was like only about an hour and 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now I done been. I think it was when I went to Denver.
Uh-huh.
I think it was 6 hours, 3
Mhm.
hours one chart one. It was two planes, and so yeah. And then when I went back and forth to Milwaukee from North Carolina, it might have been 3 hours.
Okay.
But yeah, I never took nothing more than maybe 3 hours.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah, maybe maybe an hour and 40 minutes, something like that, maybe. But yeah, I won't. Yeah, maybe an hour and some minutes. I think that's the longest. Let me put that 3 hour stuff.
Okay.
Maybe it was 3 hours altogether, right? Because I don't think I would. They would have to put me to sleep for 3 hours. Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
wake up like that man on the Twilight Zone.
I slept about 9 hours, 9 of that 15 hours. Matter of fact, it was on the Royal Jordanian airline, and probably 90% of the people on there were like the Muslim people with their Muslim garb and attire. And it was a guy that I sit next to from Florida who flew up from Florida to Chicago so he can fly out to go to his back home to Jordan. Me and him did a lot of talking, and he told me a lot about Jordan and
Mm.
Petra and all that, and Jordan and then other time I just because matter of fact at the time, LaShawn and Sakina, I had just bought the book the Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams, and I started reading that book, and then I read quite a few pages of that, and then I watched a couple movies on my Kindle, and so basically it almost seemed like it went by fast. It seemed like it wasn't quite 15 and a half hours, but yeah, of course the time zones are different and everything. But I wanted to ask you, LaShawn, do you ever see yourself making that pilgrimage to ancient Kemet?
Yes, I do.
Okay, yeah, that would be so cool. 'Cause I know you. We had them talks at work, and Sakina, I have this 45 by 50 poster of me standing in the Sahara Desert with the two of the biggest pyramids and the Sphinx in the background, and that is my testament of telling people about my trip there and how it changed my life. And oh man, this poster, of course, Sean saw this poster is like larger than life.
It is. It's really cool.
Oh
I
man,
would probably cry.
Yeah.
you say you probably cry.
Yeah, I probably would cry if I'm just gonna be honest. It's real to me like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
It's
can
real
tell
to me
you,
like that.
man. You're very much in touch with ancient Kemet, and like I said, the Kemetic principles and all that. Those dynasties and that one civilization within itself had so much to offer the world. They set the standards for so much, and just to know that these are the same people who introduced the world to mathematics, to physics, to architecture, to makeup, to, like you said, to funerary, to like embalming not only of their own people, the human beings, but like their pets, like their birds and their dogs and their cats, and pottery and furniture and medicine. I mean, it goes on and on. Of course, you would know because I know you got a whole library of so much that explains all that. But the reason why my fascination is so great with ancient Kemet is because just to know that I'll say it again, they introduced the world to so much.
Thank you, and we need to take advantage and start really
Question though
getting
about
truth out
that
here.
before you
Let
go
me say,
on. Can I
I'm
ask him a
sorry.
question?
Go
Please,
ahead.
thank you. So, what do you say to people who might tell you, I don't believe that. You believe that. How would you prove that?
Okay.
How would you quantify that?
I'm gonna be very direct in my answer. I'm gonna answer that very directly. People say, "Well, you believe that?" Okay. The proof is there. I mean, for instance, like them. Okay, what? I saw a clip of Malcolm X giving a speech somewhere in New York or whatever. Like he was talking about the Egyptians, and he was saying how these are the people that discovered gold. These are the people that discovered silver and all these precious ores and gems. Okay, but to answer that question, though, LaShawn, if someone say, "Well, how do you know that?" Well, I mean, okay, okay. I'll tell you how that. It can be if somebody asks me to really, really break it down and say, "Oh, you believe that, but I don't believe that." I would tell them, go to the Egyptian museum in Cairo, and you are walking inside a building that has 500,000 artifacts of those 25 dynasties that ran ancient Kemet. And like my tour guide, Mustafa told me, because he's the one that took me to the Egyptian museum in Cairo. If you was to see everything in that thing, you'd have to show up almost every day for a month to see everything. And then here's the crazy thing, Sakina and LaShawn, they are still unearthing things from ancient Kemet. So the proof is inside that museum and probably elsewhere too. Because let me remind you of something. Let me remind you of this, my friend. That's not the only museum that houses artifacts from ancient Kemet. They got one in London. They got one in France. They got one. Yeah.
That's a fabulous point.
Yeah. Okay. So I
Fabulous.
hope I answered
Yeah.
the question.
No,
Yeah.
that's a great answer. No, that's
Yeah.
a
It's all
Wow.
good.
yeah.
And then just to
That's you
see,
don't want this smoke type of answer. I
right.
understand.
And let me say this real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. If someone was to say, well, how do you know those people existed? How you know they ain't out of some fairy tale story? Well, I'll tell them this. I saw the mummies of Seti, who was the father of Ramses II. I saw the mummy of his son, Ramses II. I saw the mummy of Tutankhamun. I saw the mummy of Thutmose. And I saw the mummy of Akhenaten. All five. There were more, but I got to see them specifically.
Wow.
They are inside a chamber, a glass chamber, where it preserves their mummified remains. But if one was to question, how can you prove that these people existed? Their mummified remains are right there in the museum. So that's all the proof you need to know that these are not fictional characters. These people really did exist.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Okay, but don't let me dominate. I want to hear what
No,
y'all
no,
got to
that's
say.
fine. That is well appreciated.
Yeah,
What? Y'all dominating?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't even notice.
Come on. And I was just gonna show this
Keeping
if
me out of the
anybody can see
conversation
it.
on purpose.
Right. This is from a book I'm gonna show you in a minute, but they were showing things like this for great civilization. Right.
my okay, I'm checking it out, Sakina.
Let's
Yeah.
see if I can.
Okay, yeah, I can see. I blew it up. I expanded, my screen.
They
So,
were
yeah, I
showing
can
this for Africa, for great civilizations. This is the
what
name of the book.
artifact is that you're showing us?
This
What
is a
statue? Who is that a statue of?
This was let me go back to it.
Okay.
This was an artifact of myth and magic of many Ethiopians in Africa.
Okay. Interesting. Very, very interesting.
See what I'm saying? So yeah. And this is from the Great Civilizations, over 200 illustrations and more. Yeah. So yeah, it's another one in here. You want to see it? Let me show you.
Yeah. Let me see it.
Right. So this is supposed to be a battle of kings and queens for independence. Ain't that something?
Very unique. Very, very unique. I like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I'm gonna show you another one. Hold on. I think it's over on this side. Yeah, this one right here.
Okay. Now let me ask you about that one that you're showing me now. Does that come out of the Ethiopian culture? What country, what culture does that come out of?
This one right here is supposed to be a witch maker from Africa.
Oh, did they say which country, whether it be Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, wherever else in Africa? Did they say which country it came out of?
Nope.
Oh, okay. But it's unique though. It's very unique.
Oh, it says a myth, stories of a myth in Africa tradition.
Mm-hmm. Can I bring up something, y'all?
Go ahead.
I'm into something. Okay. You showing me those statues and all that, which, man, all across that great continent, they've proved a lot of statues. And okay, let me say this. I thought this was very interesting. On one of my smart channels, they have the station that shows it's called these paranormal experiences that people be happening. Okay, there was a lady who had ordered some masks from, it was somewhere in West Africa. I don't know if it was Ghana, Nigeria, somewhere where they practice voodoo or whatever. Okay, and she loved these masks. She had about 10 of them on the wall. And as soon as she put the mask up, oh my God, I mean, stuff started, dishes flying off the shelves, and food was all on the kitchen floor, and furniture was all turned over. And she had this guy, this Haitian voodoo priest, come to her house and look at these masks that she had gotten from Africa, right? And he told her that whoever sculpted those masks or whoever produced those masks over there in Africa, they had did some type of voodoo ritual where there was like evil spirits inside those masks. And she said she didn't want to get rid of them. He said, you're going to have to. So he left, and then it started getting worse. And she was getting attacked, and she had cuts and all that. Woke up one morning where something had attacked her in her sleep. She was bleeding and these big gashes and all that in her arm. And she called that guy back in again. He told her straight out, those masks that you got from Africa, you're going to have to get rid of them, or it may end up killing you. It may end up costing you your life. So she finally listened to him. She took all the masks down. And on the way, because she was going to take them somewhere and throw them in the woods or get rid of them. And while she was had the mask in the back seat of the car seat started pushing forward and pushing her forward. And she was almost like she was almost getting crushed between the seat and the dashboard. And finally, she was able to stop. And she took the mask out and threw them in there. And then that was the end of that. So I want to ask, what is you all's opinion about that? About,
what?
This
is this
lady
a true story? What are we talking about? Hold up. I'm gonna need you to dial back just a little bit.
Okay.
Bit for me. Okay. What is we talking about?
These masks that came from Africa. This lady ordered that she had on her wall.
A real lady.
Yeah. True story.
Somebody's for real.
Yeah, it's a true story. This is not a movie or anything, or like some made up story. This actually happened.
And where she live at?
She lived somewhere in California. It was somewhere up in Northern California. Her husband was he was away a lot. She had a son. Bad things started happening to him too. And he told his mother he believed it was those masks while all this paranormal stuff started going on in their house. But the guy, the voodoo, it was a guy, he was a Haitian voodoo priest. And he knew about that type of stuff. And he sat there and he meditated. And he stood in front of those masks for like about a good 10, 15 minutes. He told her, he said, whoever sculpted and created these masks, they did a ritual where they imbued or whatever, they put its evil spirits inside these masks. So,
okay.
So with Sakina showing me those statues and artifacts.
Can we opt out this conversation and
get
back
let's
to
opt
you a
out.
little later with that? Thank you so much.
Okay.
I appreciate it, dude.
Absolutely.
So,
okay. I'm sorry.
What else has been going on?
I'm gonna let you take over, Sakina. I'm sorry.
We'll table that for now.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just hold that for a second minute, because I was like,
wow, I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's okay. It's okay. And with that, let's start the show. Listen. So what I want to do now at this point, seriously though, because I got some some slides and everything we need to be rolling out with. So what I want to do is I'm going to start off where we left off at, because again, this ain't that. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to start off by kind of clarifying the life of the Egyptian, right? Just to let y'all know, because although they did practice in, that was kind of what we want to say, because again, funerary practices are still done today, right? We go to our grave sites today, right? We put up flowers and whatnot, and some people still today go and spend time at grave sites with their loved ones. They go there and they might sit down and spend time and talk and what have you and whatever at these grave sites. And these are outside grave sites. And unfortunately, everybody can't go and have their parents inside of these tombstones inside, where this is what these temples were. and this is a different practice. So this is these temples where they did where they might have been called cults, or the cults would only where priests and whatnot were held, and this is where they did their learning. Now, some of these things that may have been taught were not always funerary practices. This could have been religious practices or what have you, but it was not always a funerary thing. Again, what preachers did as far as cleaning up the building, or giving out the lamentations or what have you, that has nothing to do with everybody else as a whole. But that was only a service done for that God or deity or what have you. But the practice that they did as a people is a different thing, just like what you do in a funeral home to get one ready for a funeral has nothing to do with what everybody does as a whole. Outside of that job, outside of that service, what a reverend does as a reverend at the church has no outside of his duty as a husband, as a father. Now his role in the community, yes, that is a whole different thing. That's a whole different thing. But again, this is not what we're talking about. You're trying to make somebody's way of life their life of way. These are two different passages, and this is two different paths. You're saying now you're making someone walk among the dead, or saying this is this and this is not that. So again, when the etymology changes, so does the action.
Mm-hmm.
So now everything they do has to do with death. That's not true.
Yeah.
They were not people that dealt with magic, witchcraft, death, this and that. They might have dealt with their dead, but right. You dealt with your dead as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Everybody dealt with their dead. You just dealt with yours in a different way. You dealt with your dead how you dealt with your dead. They dealt with their dead how they dealt with their dead. They had respect for the dead.
Yeah.
They had respect for the elders. They had respect for the world in which they lived in and everything around it.
Mm-hmm.
And that became a cosmology way of living, practice and principles and precepts for everything in, out, and around themselves.
Yeah.
Did that make them a good person all the way around? No. Because even they had flaws.
Oh, yeah.
As time got older.
Yeah.
That didn't make them no better than nobody else.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? As time progressed.
Mm-hmm.
And we find that out. Why? Because look at us.
Yeah. Yep.
So that I'm gonna start. Let me okay, I'm sorry. Let me start my presentation.
Okay.
Let me know when y'all can see my screen.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can see it.
All right.
Okay, smoking conversations. Okay. Okay. Righty.
All right. So here we go.
Oh, yeah, Mott.
So, of course, we start off with Mayat for his shine, because with the principles of Mayat is just truth, justice, balance, righteousness, order, and reciprocity. So, as always, I say we'll bring a pencil, pen, notepad, and a tablet, and open your mind with the options. in your opinions, so that the principles or the tools help to navigate and set markers in the journey so that you end with the beginning in mind. Did LaShawn make it back?
I don't know. Sean?
Okay, let's wait on her.
Oh, okay.
Let's make sure she make it back, and then we can move
Okay.
forward.
Okay. In the mind with opinion. So
Peace to everybody in the chat, and thank you all for coming. Yay!
ending with the beginning in mind. Okay.
Yes. So I'm just
I've learned, Sakina, I've learned not much, but a little bit about my art. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, my art is the deity that when we die, like she puts your heart and your feather on the scale.
right.
One is going to be the heaviest.
Right. When your heart and feather is on the scale, and your heart needs to be as light as a feather or lighter.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so this would be my art.
Yeah, my eye. Let me see.
Just like her, it would be. Oh Lord,
Yeah, hold it up. Yeah, hold up a little more. Let me see. Come over the other way. There you go. Come down. There we go. Right there. Perfect.
My eye.
Yeah, that's my eye.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So this would be my eye. She
Okay.
would be also behind me.
Okay.
You will see her on the wall right here.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That painting or whatever on your wall back there.
Oh, okay. So now you're back, Gemini. Let me go here. All right. So now I can flip it. So the note on the universal laws today, aka Kybalion. I was using this presentation on the Kybalion as means to just demystify any of the teachings, just to present a history, as well as to bring in a clear and a practical manner for today's student. And my aim was just to remove any misconceptions and or overly mystical interpretations that it was allowing the wisdom to be misunderstood or just to be understood. And I also stated there were various editions of the Kybalion, the universal laws, and natural laws as well that could be included, supplementary materials. That was important to note that this was just a work that's not aligned with any particular religion because it was never that intent. Why? Because by focusing solely on the wisdom that it offers, it was approached to just seek and provide a solid foundation for personal growth and understanding without introducing any unnecessary complexity. So again, I'm encouraging to just explore the principles with an open mind and the guided text for the original purpose and pursuit of self-consciousness and self-mastery. And this will include you to possibly result in some dictionaries and some encyclopedias, right? And then you have to remember that when the etymology, which is the word that changes, so does its action. So keep in mind that the Western, which is American language, is going to be a big factor.
Okay. All right.
Now, so far we know that the 7 universal laws are principles in the Kybalion. Those laws are mentalism, the law of correspondence, the law of vibration. These laws are 3 immutable or unchanging higher laws. Now, there are 4 immutable laws or transitorial laws, lower laws. Those laws are the laws of polarity, the laws of rhythm, the laws of cause and effect, or the laws of gender. All those laws are also stated within the Kybalion. These universal laws exist by virtues of the laws, and they're formed in this framework which holds it all together. Once you know these universal laws, you can know that these laws are knowledge of a higher law to the self-master, and it transcends the lower laws all within self. This is a path for attaining self-consciousness, mastery, and power over your inner mental world. This is how you can gain consciousness and create your intended reality and achieve true mastery. These 7 universal laws lead to mastering your life only in every way.
Okay.
So the universal laws, the Kybalion, which was a study of the Hermetic philosophy of ancient Egypt and Greece, is based on the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus and written by the 3 initiates. Today we know this as New Thought by William Walker Atkinson and Baron Eugene Fersen in 1923 in a book In the Science of Being, which is mentioned in another one of the most comprehensive books written on this subject. But who is Aleister Crowley? Crowley was born Alexander Crowley, 12th October 1875. He died December 1st of 1947, which in English, he was an occultist, ceremonial magician, poet, novelist, mountaineer, and painter. He founded the religion of Thelma, identifying himself as a prophet entrusted with guiding humanity into an eon of Horus in the early 20th century. You will find that on Wikipedia. Early in life and education, born in Royal Lexington and Spa, England, Crowley came from a wealthy family. His father, Edward Crowley, was a preacher in Plymouth Brethren, a strict Christian from a denomination. Then after his father's death, Crowley attended Trinity College, Cambridge, but he left before completing his degree. You'll find that on Fax Britannica. As he was an occult involvement of Thelma. He became involved within occultism and joined the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, where he was known for a magical name as Frater Buder Rabo. He later founded the religion of Thelma, which became adopted or temporal of Orientis is the OTO, as well as a magical order of Argentium Austrium, or AA. And you can learn that the same way on Britannica. I'm going to put these in the link.
Okay.
So with the notable works, Crowley authored numerous works on occultism, mysticism, and magic, including the Book of Law, which was a central sacred text of Thelma, which Crowley claimed was dictated to him by a spiritual entity named Awas. Magic and Theory of Practice, which a comprehensive guide to Crowley's system of ceremony and magic, and Crowley's teachings have had a lasting impact on modern occultism and esoteric thought. And he was it was a highly controversial figure, which was denounced in his own time for his decadence lifestyle, and he had few followers. And you'll find that also in Encyclopedia Britannica, but again, I'll put all the links in the chat.
Okay.
Welcome to Smokin Conversations with Sakina-Ra, and let's get into exactly who is Aleister Crowley. The name whispered in hushed tones and met with both admiration and disdain remains one of the most enigmatic figures of the 20th century. Born Edward Alexander Crowley in 1875, his life was a whirlwind of esoteric exploration and controversial choices. From his privileged upbringing to his immersion in the occult, Crowley's journey was anything but ordinary. His writings on magic and mysticism captivated readers. Sparking debates that continue to this day, he openly flaunted societal norms, earning him the moniker the wickedest man in the world. Despite the controversies, Crowley's impact on Western esotericism is undeniable. He challenged established paradigms and encouraged individuals to question dogma. His teachings emphasized the power of the individual will, inspiring generations to explore the hidden depths of their being. This exploration delves into the life, beliefs, and legacy of Aleister Crowley, separating the man from the myths that have come to surround him. Furthermore, we will examine one of the most persistent rumors associated with Crowley, his alleged authorship of the Kybalion, a seminal work on Hermetic philosophy. Crowley's fascination with the occult began in his youth. He immersed himself in alchemy, magic, and Eastern mysticism. This led him to join the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Within the order, Crowley honed his skills in ritual magic and divination. However, his time with the Golden Dawn was marked by conflict, leading to his expulsion. Undeterred, he traveled to Mexico, India, and Egypt, claiming profound mystical experiences. These experiences shaped his unique philosophical outlook. In 1904, Crowley claimed to receive a channeled message from a supernatural entity. This formed the basis of Thelema, his new religious system. Thelema, meaning will in Greek, centers around do what thou wilt. This statement emphasizes individual liberty, self-discovery, and the pursuit of one's true will. Thelema encourages breaking free from societal constraints and embracing one's authentic self. Published in 1908, the Kybalion emerged as a significant contribution to the resurgence of interest in Hermeticism in the early 20th century. This text presents 7 Hermetic principles claiming to be the essence of ancient Egyptian wisdom passed down through secret societies. The book's anonymous authors, the 3 initiates, fueled speculation and debate surrounding their true identities. The Kybalion's impact on modern esoteric thought is undeniable. Its 7 principles, encompassing mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender, offer a framework for understanding the universe and one's place within it. These principles provide practical guidance for personal transformation and spiritual growth, emphasizing the interconnectedness of all things and the power of the mind. The book's popularity and influence, coupled with the mystery surrounding its authorship, led some to speculate about Aleister Crowley's involvement. Given Crowley's prominence in occult circles and his extensive writings on Hermeticism, the connection seemed plausible to some. However, a closer examination reveals that the philosophies of Crowley and the Kybalion differ significantly. While both Crowley and the Kybalion draw upon Hermetic traditions, their approaches diverge in key areas. Crowley's Thelema, with its emphasis on individual will and the pursuit of one's true will, stands in contrast to the Kybalion's focus on universal laws and principles. Thelema encourages individuals to challenge limitations and forge their own paths, while the Kybalion emphasizes aligning oneself with the natural order of the cosmos. Crowley's writings often delved into the darker aspects of magic and the occult, exploring themes of power, sexuality, and the shadow self. The Kybalion, however, maintains a more philosophical and ethical approach, emphasizing self-mastery, spiritual enlightenment, and living in harmony with the universe. In terms of style, Crowley's writing is often provocative and challenging, reflecting his rebellious nature and penchant for pushing boundaries. The Kybalion, on the other hand, presents its teachings in a more accessible and systematic manner, aiming to provide a clear and concise guide to Hermetic principles. These stylistic differences further highlight the distinct approaches of these 2 influential figures within the realm of Western esotericism. So I hope you found this video interesting, and for more, please like and hit that notification, and stay tuned with Smokin Conversations with Sakina-Ra, sponsored by Silverback Nations. We appreciate you.
So,
Okay.
Sakina.
Yeah, let me pause. Hold on.
Okay. So, yeah. So I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So tonight you are clearing up the conversation we had last week with Reggie, and so this week I like how you're isolating and separating, right? Separating the Kybalion from the Hermetic principles, or the Kybalion from the
universal, right?
Well, okay.
Well, there are universal laws, but I found. Remember when I said I found out what Hermes?
No. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying you're
ahead.
separating the Kybalion from Aleister Crowley's teachings.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, and so you had to show the video in order to
clear that up.
Show everyone that they are not the same. And when someone says, because this is what Uncle Ketch says, right? He said that the Kybalion is under Aleister Crowley's what was one of his teachings, and so you've just shown where it's not. It could it's similar or could be mixed up, but it's not the same. Clearly, there's some differences. And so you just kind of, this is like your snapback, or your, pushback from what they were saying prior. I get it.
Well, it's not necessarily a pushback. I don't want people to think that this is that cultic, because people tend to, this is one of the reasons why people don't do certain things, because they still scared of that mystic, cultic, that mayhem and all of that. They're feared of things because of that voodoo, cultic, mystic, that kind of thing. And so when they're scared of that,
spookism, right? Spookism.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
spookism. Just like the very thing that you were talking about now, they're scared of change. They're scared to step outside of a box. If if it ain't fixed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That kind of thing. But when times have changed and there's this new, right? It might not be broke to you, or it is broke to you, but you don't care. You will just work with what you got. But these things have evolved, and right, and just you will move around and just go around the leaky faucet. You see what I'm saying? Then don't mind the drip, but that drip is costing us. It's cost effective, and we can't just keep on going with the drip. It's a problem.
So then tonight you have clarified. You have done the research, and you are clarifying that
exactly,
the
because
Kybalion is completely separate from Aleister Crowley's teachings. Got it.
Yes, and I appreciate, because it was more than that for me. It's you taught me something.
Mm-hmm.
You taught me something. It's not just clearing it up for that. It's clearing it up for us, because I did not know anything about that man at all.
Yeah,
a lot of us did, though, right? Hold on, Dewey.
Well, I don't know if all of y'all did or not, but
a lot
I
of us
did.
Did, though.
Well,
right?
maybe they did, maybe they didn't.
But it's good that you brought that out, because if you hadn't, then we wouldn't understand both sides. We would always think this is a one-sided street, not a two-way road. You see what I'm saying? So some understanding. So you brought a little understanding, to the conversation.
Right. Well, I'm clearing it up for all of us, because I didn't know anything about this at all. So it's gratitude on both ends. So I'm clearing it up for all of us, because I didn't know anything about this at all.
No, I get it.
So
no,
I appreciate the question. No, I appreciate the question. It was a wonderful question. I appreciate it. Thank you. Do you have a question, Dewey?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I've heard of Aleister Crowley, but I'm not really real familiar with it. I mean, I've seen a couple of I guess you say video clips on YouTube of him and what he was about and what he believed in, and like you said, the occultism and and other things. But I don't really know a lot about him. I've just heard about him, but I know one thing they do talk about. He was a very controversial figure. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because what, especially towards the end of his life. Towards the end of his life, he was the same freak off, doing the same freak offs as Diddy. And so he has a lot of, a lot of people think of him as a very sick individual.
Oh, wait a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong. I want either one of y'all, both of y'all, to correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't he Aleister Crowley the same guy that started like a charter for like the Satanic Church in California?
Listen, when it comes to occultisms, yes, it can be.
Okay, I remember that part about him, that he started the Satanic
Sakina, because
Church.
you're talking about his early works as opposed to what he became. See, that's the two sides of that coin, right? When everything you just posted was his early works when he was a young man and still had solid beliefs. But as he grew, so did his curiosity and his thirst for, all of that also increased, right? And so his knowledge changed. And so, you don't, it's kind of like you don't get to keep your legacy and you do all this crazy shit at the end. No.
Yes.
People,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but a lot of people we gonna find out do that, but we're not gonna point people out like that. But that's what it goes with that, I guess. You
Yeah.
know, when the intent
Yeah.
changes, you see, and that's what's gonna make this that.
Yeah, when you're not fighting for the same reasons that you
Come
used
on.
to, you know,
Yeah.
you charge in as a young man, but you leave out a wise fool
There you
sometimes.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said it better. Yes. Thank you.
Hmm.
All right. So I'm gonna go back.
Hmm.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate you. Yeah. Because I'm like both of you all. I love to learn. I mean, I've only said this. It's a worn out cliche, but I've only said it 900 million times in my lifetime that that's the beauty of life. You learn something new every day. I would never want to be an individual like, yeah, I knew that. I knew that. Like I know everything. I mean,
Right.
what's the purpose of living if you know everything? So I love to learn
Right.
all the time.
Facts.
Okay, I'm sorry. So again, as we just stated, he was associated with the Kybalion because he was oftenly mistaken because of the overlap between his work and the Kybalion, but there was no evidence that said he contributed to the Kybalion, and it was or there was no direct connection with him and the Kybalion. The confused factors were that the Hermetic themes that he had that was rooted in the Hermetic philosophy, and that he had attributed to the Kybalion of Hermes Trismegistus, and that he emphasized on the Hermetic principles like mentalism, vibration, and correspondence, and that his work, particularly in Thelma and the teachings on the ceremonial practices and magic, drawed heavily on Hermetic principles. So again, that was just based on some of the knowledge of the funerary practices and whatnot, based on ancient Egypt. Again, you say ancient Egypt to Greeks, and then everybody just freaked out on that. So there it goes. So this similarity to them both being active in esoterical world, aka Bible, this is going into Greek. In that same period, had led speculations that Crowley might be involved with the Kybalion. However, again, there's no direct connection between their philosophies in the general thematic and sections of the occult and the Hermetic traditions.
Mm.
And that lack of evidence underscores the speculative nature of the claims. So that just wrapped that up. Now, Crowley prominent figures in the earlier 20th century occult scenes and many occult esoteric works from that period incorrectly attributed him from the authors of the Kybalion, known as the three initiates. The three initiates, they chose to remain anonymous. And that started up a lot of that high potential profiles authors, including Crowley, and the distant philosophies. And while the Kybalion focused on Hermeticism and the seven principles, Crowley's work centered on Thelma and the spiritual system that he developed in the practical ceremonial magic. Crowley's tone was philosophical and his styles differed significantly from the Kybalion, making it unlikely that he had the involvement. And Crowley versus the Kybalion were both influential and esoteric and occult traditions, but they're independent of each other. And I can show you that difference. I can show you the difference in this chart. So again, they shared the philosophy within the core concepts with they had the Kybalion had the unity of the universe, the unity of the power and mind, the correspondence and transformation, was the idea of personal and spiritual evolvement. Now, when we come to spiritual, we're talking about life. So anything that you think in the set of your mind, and then if you put your work into it, you can bring life into that. So spirit is life, and that's what we said. All is mind, and mind is mental. So when you can put life into your work, bringing anything you bring into mind, the being of mind, and you can bring life into that work, that is where mind is, all of that. And you can bring life into those things in existence. So that is what we're saying in spirit and life, like breath of life. You breathe life, but life, with anything you create in mind, you can have life. And that is the life of that. Because why? If you dream it, you believe it, you achieve it. And that is by doing it. So if you think or you believe that you can create manifest, create a job, and you create that job, and then you have that job. This is a job that you created. Nobody, and you're a self-made, self-employed person. And that job is a job. It is there. That job is there. You make money from it. You invest in it. People, you are employed from it. You may employ other people from it. That job is a entity. It is being in existence. Therefore, that job has life, not a regular real life, but it is being. It is there. You have insurance on it. Other people live from it. You live from it. So therefore it exists.
Okay, can I interject?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so with you saying that, along with, information that's been put in books and from speakers and other people, authors, but do you believe that that we can send, how can I put this? Do you believe we can send frequencies of vibrations into the universe to help manifest things? Like I've heard people say words have power.
This is what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, you can. So because I personally believe that very strongly, that you can speak things into existence.
This is the very thing we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. And these are the very things y'all talking about right now. We all saying it in different ways, but it's the very thing y'all talking about, the very thing we're talking about. Why? Because it is a personal. Everything that this is the very thing that you do, whether you know it or not. Right. And the same thing that you're sharing, but you're sharing it and doing it, working it on a business aspect. This is a life aspect. One way or another, it's still just like your car. Right? Whether you're in your car, whether you're on the bus, on the train, the plane, whether you leave this state to the next country, it's all in your mind how you gotta behave with somebody else.
Yeah.
Outside of yourself, right or wrong?
I agree. I say right. Yeah. I say right. Definitely.
Okay, so this is all this is. So at the end, who do you blame? Because the mentalism is whose? Who controls your mental?
Mentalism is a foundational principle.
Mm.
Correspondence as above. But let me ask you this too, Sakina. That let me ask you this on a personal note. Have you ever been thinking about somebody so heavy? You mentioned we talking about mentalism. Have you ever thought about someone so heavy until probably that same day they show up? It's like you've been thinking about them and then they pop up.
Yeah, or they call or something to that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
All right, you have kids?
I mean, no, I don't have any children. No.
Okay.
No.
So I mean, these are just these things, right? And so once we honestly start focusing on just a little more, some things is like It said in the Bible, we can call it from wherever you want to call a source. It say, if you're gonna worry, don't pray. If you're gonna pray, don't worry.
Yeah. That
Right.
Yeah.
It was a movie for one of these kids. I think it was called The Croons or something. One of these figures was supposed to be a little Indian boy. It started off with every day he was running and waking up until he ran into one of the cavemen. Right. He got up every day going looking for tomorrow.
Oh, interesting.
That's crazy. Every day he was looking for tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Every day he was looking for tomorrow. Yeah.
Right. And tomorrow never came. Ain't that something?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. Sure.
And he was right. And he was an Indian. Every day he was looking for tomorrow until he ran to the caveman. And he got to stay with them until he found tomorrow.
Found tomorrow.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
I thought it was the most racist child movie I ever saw in my life.
Wow, really?
Yeah, you think I wasn't?
Yeah.
Every day he going every day, steady traveling, looking for tomorrow. Right? And then after the caveman ran into some people called the Bettermans.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right? And while they were staying with the Bettermans was okay. The Bettermans, okay.
Yeah.
And so when they got out, they stayed too long and they had to spend a night because they stayed too long. And one of the cavemen went outside and ate all of the monkeys, all of the bananas that was on the porch, all outside and everything.
Yeah.
And they told him not to eat them. So what happened was the punch monkeys came out. And they started speaking punch monkey, and you had to punch them.
Wow.
Punch monkeys tore their ass up.
Wow. I can imagine they did. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, so back to the program. Okay, so both I'm sorry, y'all. So both Crowley and the Kybalion both reasoned with and they agreed with the Hermetic ideas, but they interpret them different, and so they expanded on them differently as well. Yeah. And so this is the chart where the differences appeared. So in the aspect of Crowley and the Kybalion was, of course, the philosophy. Yeah. So in Thelma, he said, do what thou wilt, and shall be the whole of the law. And in Hermeticism, it was simply the 7 principles specified. That was it. Yeah. And in the tone of Crowley, it was the mystical, provocative, and the often cryptic. And they had the didatic, instructional, and accessible, right? Where Crowley had the purpose of spiritual transformation via ceremonial magic and self-liberation. And the Kybalion was teaching universal laws for understanding and mastering reality. And Crowley's focus was on ritual magic and purpose, personal will and metaphysical exploration. And Kybalion was on metaphysical and philosophical insights for daily life.
Let me ask you a question, Sakina.
I'm listening.
Do you believe that people have the power to bend the universe to their will?
What do you mean bend the universe to your will?
Well, it's almost like, well, I guess I can say almost like manipulation or whatever. It's like we talk about the laws of manifestation. We hear like right here in this screen right here, this slide. We talk about a spiritual transfer, and then like teaching universal laws for understanding and mastering reality. Okay, but do you think that some people can actually, I guess, through rituals, through math, through whatever, to get the universe to bend or submit towards their will. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Right, because this is the truth. Your reality, right?
Yes.
This is your reality. So, in the end, it comes back to you.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So,
does karma have something to do with that?
Okay, we're gonna get into that because
we're
gonna get into that because again, the Kybalion only covers, or we're gonna say because again, people did not truly understand. The Kybalion covers the Hermetica is in 7 principles, right?
Yeah,
that was an understanding, right? When you're trying to understand someone's way of life. All right. So when you're mimicking a way of life, you're trying to separate things, especially when you don't walk it like you talk it. So these people had a way of life, and now y'all trying to separate a way of life if you weren't there. So this is some of the problems that we were having from a whole discourse of people from all over. So in the Kybalion, right, it tells. See, because I didn't learn the Kybalion. I learned a universal principle from a standpoint of Hinduism.
Oh, I see.
And later on, I learned the roots of Hinduism from the Kybalion.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
Because Hinduism was a different religion. And the history of Hinduism came from the Kybalion. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: is Hinduism practiced all around? I mean, we know Christianity and Islam and Judaism, whatever. Is Hinduism also practiced all around the world? You would say
it is to a degree. Why? Because Hinduism, Buddhism, and Kymeticism is almost all of the same isms because they're fall under a realm called spirituality.
Okay.
Right. I believe to my understanding, Kymeticism, right, is all about a history of the African American. African, right? Hinduism is more toward the Hindus only, but the rest of it is just universal.
Okay.
Like the African or the Kemetic. They didn't worry. That wasn't for them. They didn't look at it that way either. Hinduism doesn't look at it like that. They look at it as a different practice. So they don't even call it Hinduism, right?
Yeah.
And so just like Buddhism, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so theirs is under a whole practice of yoga. But even then, so when you understand that these 33 laws fall under 3 different principles, it's a way of life. So it's not really even 7 laws, it's actually 33.
33, okay.
You see what I'm saying? But just to get to 7, the rest of them are just extra pieces that just say a little, right? Because if you live your life under basic, then the rest of it is right. Because you'll find out some of them you were raised under anyway.
Yeah.
So people you will see how it can get misunderstood or misunderstood, But again, we take things have been altered or changed and misunderstood all throughout our whole life, And so this is why I can appreciate my brothers that came in and tried to save me from going down a rabbit hole or being misunderstood. And so for me, I take that as a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I try to make sure everybody.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure everybody don't get begotten, You know what I'm saying? Because this is not what it is. But I want to make sure that everybody make sure that they take the lesson that I took, and when somebody give you something, research it and make sure, and don't take that and run with it and think that it was a beat down or a beat up. Take it as a blessing and use it for your good, not for, you know what I'm saying? This is how, and I'm doing, because that's not what it was, and that's not what it was intended to be. You see what I'm saying? And so no, this ain't that, but that was a blessing. This is how I'm doing it anyway, because that was not that. He was trying to tell me something and show me something, because he always looks out. You see what I'm saying? And so this is when somebody give you something, you're supposed to do the work, because he honestly thought I was falling down a rabbit hole.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? And this is what he thought this was. And all this stuff was not for my good.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not that. So not just for me, but for antibody.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the only one that didn't know that. I couldn't be.
Yeah.
This is for anybody. Because just because you didn't say nothing, right? A lot of people don't ask questions. Not just me.
So what are we saying when you say that?
Because see, the dumbest question is not to ask one at all. And a lot of people sit there and don't ask. But you'll be the one that asks. And the reason why they don't ask is because somebody might say, no, dumbass. And that's why they didn't ask.
Well,
and so
that's
therefore,
still ain't,
exactly.
You know, I'm just saying, because again, equally, when we have that energy from one side, the other side is equal energy too, right? That's one of the, natural laws. Only thing can stop force is equal or greater force. So, so both sides, feel strongly about that. Some of us have read it, and then some of you have not. And that's it.
Wow.
It's not even no real speech built around that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And even if you wasn't fully familiar with them, you still heard about all the crazy.
You said all the crazy.
Well, the difference in Crowley's textbook of law, he had a whole book of law, y'all, in Thelma. So the individual, it emphasized on true will. He had a book called Magic Without Tears. And the practical and philosophical insights was on ceremonial magic. And he had the 777 of Kybalion writings, and it went into exploring correspondence with mystical traditions, y'all. And the Kybalion just focused on synthesizing Hermetic philosophies and practical principles, and the tone was just on universal approaches and appealing to a broader audience and interest on spiritualities. And again, I put all that stuff for Crowley's norms and how it became controversial. And again, with the 3 initiates just trying to be anonymous, y'all, and their insights and everything, how it's mainstream in metaphysicism. Now, the difference between cults and schools is that they were rooted in their purposes, the structures, achieved activities, and the roles in societies. So the purpose in cults were focused on religions and spiritual devotions, often centered on specific deities, the leaders, or sacred concepts. They aim to establish deep connections between members and higher powers or belief systems, and they practice often involve rituals, mysticisms, and worship, enforcing sacred beliefs and community identities. So this meant whatever God that they worshipped, they did the worshiping and rituals for that particular God, and that cult was for that that deity at that particular building, in that building only. And the schools would focus on the education and skill development and emphasizing and transmission of knowledge. And this is still today in preparation for particular practical roles in society. They aim to teach literacy, critical thinking, vocational skills, and activities emphasizing on and intellectual growth and the acquisition of knowledge rather than spiritual experiences. Now, the organization and cults often structure around charismatic leaders, the deity, or the ideology. So the membership could be exclusive with a hierarchical, how you say that, hierarchical,
Yeah,
requiring
hierarchical. Yeah.
Thank you. Requiring initiation or specific commitments, frequently associated with esoteric knowledge or secretive practices reserved for insiders. So again, this esoteric knowledge or the hierarchical requirement. This meant kings, uh, 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 um, here we go with this shit. Kings, you had to be knowing some kind of science or these kind of things in order to be in this cult. You had to have science. You had to know astrology, astronomy, arcany, or something to this and that to be able to be in this type of organization. You could not have just um, you had to be a you had to have some kind of skill or knowledge in order to be in this, a theist or something. You had to have this kind of thing to be in this organization. You could not be, otherwise you was just in a school, just in an organized around a regular curriculum, a system of knowledge led by a teacher or instructor, typically more open or systematic with a clear path for progression, a beginner to an advanced level or study. Emphasize on standardized learning and
Dissemination.
dissemination of established knowledge. Now, remember again that the Comedics taught and the ancient Egyptians taught the Greeks. And this is why there is a big difference between the schools and the cults at that time, because the cults were the teachers and the leaders that taught them in the schools and universities. That
Wow.
made a big difference.
Wow. Sure did.
Now, the cults were also involved in the activities, which were ceremonial practices, the common rituals, and the acts of devotion. Those activities were also symbolic or mystical, designed to create sense of connection to the divine or reinforce collective identity. Those examples included sacrifices, processions, meditations, or reenactments of myths. And the schools focus on teaching and learning with activities such as reading, writing, problem solving, and critical discussions. Students practice through exercise, copying text, engaging in debates, and practical applications. Activities were designed to prepare individuals for practical roles in administration, trade, and in other professions. And the accessibility in cults, the membership might be selective or exclusive, often based on faith, initiation rites, or social standings. Participation could be limited to certain groups. That's also the priests, the elites, or the initiates. And the knowledge within a cult was often hidden or sacred, meant only for members. So the schools, they generally were more inclusive, particularly for those who with access to resources or social standings, and that could be boys from elite families that were in Egypt. Now, focus on the broad dissemination of practice of knowledge, like literacy or mathematics, whose access could still be restricted by social classes. In the social rule for cults, they played a spiritual and communal role, helping maintain religious traditions and societal values. Often, as a unifying force within a community through sacred belief and rituals, it could be seen as a tool of social cohesion or control, reinforcing hierarchical or collective identities. The schools play intellectual and functional roles, producing educated individuals who could contribute to an economy, governance, and a cultural life. Schools were engines of practical progress, equipping students to take a bureaucratical, artistic, or scholarly roles. And in summary, cults and religious spiritual communities often focus on devotional rituals and shared beliefs. And schools were educational institutions that are designed to teach practical and intellectual skills for societal contributions. And while both transmit knowledge to their goals, methods, and societal functions, they were fundamentally different. The distinctions highlight how societal history divided the pursuit of spiritual understanding and practical knowledge, both playing crucial but separate roles in the cultural development. I'm sorry, do y'all got questions?
No, I'm following. I'm doing a lot of listening right now.
Okay, Gemini.
Everything comes from the same source. You come to absolute ease only if you experience yourself as a part of the existence, not as a separate individual. Our individuality is a consequence of the experiences and impressions we have gathered. It is the magnanimity of creation that it has allowed us an individual experience. Though the body and the brain that we carry is just the soil that we walk upon, how differently it functions and how many experiences it generates. This is the magnanimity of creation. It's very important that we enjoy this privilege of individual nature. At the same time, it is even more important that we do not take it beyond a limit and start imagining that our individual nature is absolute. If you make such folly, then you will get the point only when you're buried that you are part of the existence. If you realize now that you're part of the existence, you can change the very fundamental nature of your life, your experience, and even your individual self. You can transform it in glorious ways. But if you start believing the individual, which is a collage of experiences, if you believe that it is an absolute reality, then suffering is inevitable because there is no individual or there is no construct that any human being can make which is complete. Only in knowing and being conscious that you are one with the existence and everything, from a worm to an insect to a tree to an animal to a bird, everything comes from the same source. In opening up to this possibility, your life will come to an absolute sense of ease where blissfulness is a natural ambience of your existence.
Interesting. Very interesting. Everything comes from the same source.
Okay, what's the key takeaway again? The key. Listen.
It is the magnanimity of creation.
Right. So again,
What?
It is the magnanimity of creation. That's what this gentleman just said in the video clip. And I've heard that before, that everything is tied in together.
This is as above.
Okay, that's called interconnectedness. That's called interconnectedness. There's nothing new about that.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. There's nothing new about that.
Okay, because that little piece of video was kind of long, and I totally lost what the key point actually was.
Oh.
Because it says key takeaway, and then right.
Okay, the key takeaway was that was just a piece of mind.
Right.
Okay.
All right, so this goes into early formulations of the concept of the natural law, right? Because there have been several disagreements over the meaning of natural law, which was a relationship to positive law, which was an Aristotle, which held that just by nature was not always the same as just by law, right? And that was just natural justice, valid that everywhere within the same force and not existing by people thinking this or that. And that could appeal to be just made from positive law. However, he drew this example of natural law from primarily his observation of the Greeks in their city-states, who subordinated women to men, slaves to citizens, and barbarians to Hellenes. In contrast, the Stoics conceived of an entity, Eligarian's law of nature, in conformity with the Logos, reason, the inherited of the human mind. Roman jurists paid lip service to this notion, which reflected the writings of St. Paul, who described a law written in the hearts of the Gentiles, Romans. Right, and those are biblical scripts of the nature of law. You will find that in the Encyclopedia Britannica, right, and you'll find all this in the thing. And so it was the human rights, law of nature, and all of these laws. You'll find all of this in there to go to this law. Mm-hmm. So, from the ascendants early developments, and these antecedents is a thing or event that existed before logically precedes another, right? Some ascendants to the African novel might exist in Africa's oral tradition. And this is one of the reasons why I had to read some of the things that was going on in Africa's oral tradition, because this is the way of life. And so when you have a way of life, it's not going to be in an oral tradition. Why? Because it was the way they lived. So when you live this way, you have to be over there to see how they live. This is why they didn't do this. Only you heard in some biblical stories, Moses was there or somebody else was there, and they learned from the way of the Egyptian. And if you didn't learn from the way of the Egyptian, you would not know. So, and tips to understand the mind can be traced to an ancient Greece, most notably known to Plato and Aristotle. Of the two Aristotles, they were most scientific, trying his theories about mental process was more closely to the observation than to the abstract speculation. With the rise of modern science in the 17th and 18th century, philosophers such as John Locke and David Hume attempted to develop the account of mental observations that would be such objective to the Newtonian physics, but their effort was hampered by Locke's or robust experiment methods and theoretical ideas. And these are the links, and I'm going to put those in their thing as well.
Okay, wait a minute. Can we stop right there? Go back to that.
I'll go back.
Okay, right there.
Okay, right here.
Right there. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So when it says that, right after Newtonian physics, but their efforts were hampered by a lack of robust experimental methods and theoretical ideas.
Right.
So is it safe to translate that into they just didn't come up with nothing credible?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And these are going to be the links in the Britannica. They were just stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Interesting. Don't know how they got so popular around the world, or maybe just popular here within
No, they
this
got popular,
United
but they
States.
were still stuck on
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very interesting.
1 second here.
And so in the Western tradition, now this is where I've told them to pay highly attention, because one of the things that we need to realize is that all of this philosophy came from Eastern tradition, meaning Egypt and Africa. And these ideas were brought to the Western, uh, uh, which is America. And when everything came to America, this was the idea being brought to America that was colonized. And then you got to bring all of that into here. So again, the language and everything with it. So now we are talking about something totally different. So in the Western tradition, the complex and the falsities involved in perceiving, remembering, considering, evaluating, and deciding. Mind is some sense of reflecting in such occurrences that sensation, perception, emotion, memory, desire, and various types of reasoning motives, choices, traits of personality, and the unconsciousness. Mind. A belief treatment of mind follows. The subject of mind is treated in a number of articles. For a philosophical treatment of the Western conception, see the mind of philosophy of. For scientific treatment of the so-called mental facilities, see intelligence, animal learning, learning theory, memory, perception, thought. For treatment of the Eastern conception in the context of respective philosophical traditions, see Buddhism and Hinduism, etc. To the extent that the mind is a manifested and observational phenomenon, and it has frequently been regarded as a particular human possession. Some theories, however, posit the existence of the mind in animals beside human beings. One theory regards the mind as a universal property of matter. According to another view, there are superhuman minds or intelligence, or a single absolute mind, a transcendent intelligence. All of these are links, but again, I put the sources on the other page, which I'm also going to put in the chat. Several assumptions in the indispensable to any discussion of concept of mind is the first assumption of thought or thinking. If there is no evidence of thought in the world, mind would have no little or meaning. The recognition of this fact throughout history accounts for the development of diverse theories of mind. It may be supposed such a word as thought or thinking cannot, because of their own ambiguity, and help to define the sphere of mind. But whatever relation of thinking to sensing, thinking seems to involve more for almost all observers than mere reception of impression from without. It seems to be the opinion for those making to excuse me. It seems to be the opinion of those who make thinking a consequence of sensing, as well as of those who regard thought as independent of sense. For both thinking goes beyond sensing, either as an elaboration of the material sense, as an apprehension of objects that are totally beyond the reach of the senses. The second assumption that seems to be a root of common to all conceptions of the mind is that of knowledge or knowing. This may be a question on the ground that if there were sensations without any form or thought, judgment, or reasoning, there would be at least a rudimentarily form of knowledge, some degree of consequences or awareness by one thing or another. If one grants the point of this objection, it nevertheless seems true to that in the distinction between truth and falsity, the difference between knowledge and error and ignorance, or between knowledge, belief, and opinion, do not apply to sensation in the total absence of thought. Any understanding of knowledge that involves these distinctions seems to imply mind for the same reason that it implies thought. There is further implication of mind in the fact that self-knowledge sensing may be awareness of the object, and that this extent may be the kind of knowledge, but there has never been any observed that the sense can be sensed or be aware of themselves. Though seems to be that the only reflective is that that is able to consider itself to define the nature of thinking and to develop theories of mind. The fact about thought is reflectivity. Also seems to be the common element of the meaning of mind. It sometimes refers to it as the reflectivity of the intellect. As a reflective power of the understanding is the ability to understand, to reflect upon its own act, or as self-consciousness. Whatever the phrasing of the world without self-consciousness or self-knowledge would be, a world in which the tradition conception of mind would probably not have arisen.
Mm-hmm.
And the third assumption is that of purpose or intention. A planning of course of action with foreknowledge or its goals, or working in any way toward a desire or a foreseen object, as in this case of sensitivity or phenomenon or of a desire, do not, without further qualification, indicate the realm of the mind. According to the theory of nature desire, for example, the nature tendencies of the emanate and the insensitive things are expressions of desire. But it is not the sense of desire that the assumption of purpose or intention is here taken as evidence of mind. It is rather on the level of the behavior of the living thing that purpose seems to require a factor over the above the senses, limited as they are to present appearances. It cannot be found in the passion, which has the same limitations as the senses, for unless they are checked and they tend toward immediate emotion discharge. The factor called by the direction of the conduct for the future ends is either the element common to all meaning of mind, or it is at least the element associated with mind. It is sometimes called the faculty of will, rational desires of the intellectual appetite. Sometimes it's treated with the act of willing, which along with thinking is one of the two major activities in the mind or understanding, and sometimes purposeness in regard as the very essence of mentally. So the disputed questions is, these assumptions, thought, knowledge, or self-knowledge, and purpose seem to be common to all theories of mind. And more than that, they seem to be assumptions that acquire the development of the conception. The conflict of the theories concerning that the human mind is, the structure it has, what parts belong to it, and the whole it belongs to and does not comprise the entire range of controversy on the subject. Yet, enough is common to all theories of mind to prevent certain and other questions to be formulated. So how does the mind operate? How does it, whatever it works, and with what intricate excellence or defects, and what is the relation of mind to matter, or body organs, or material conditions, or of one mind or another. And so they have something that's called body dualism. And is mind a common possession of men, animals, or whatever might be called in mind, animal, distinctly different from the human mind, or the mind, or the minds or mind and excellence apart from men in the whole world or corporeal world, or is the mind limited to the so-called artificial intelligence, the capacity of the machines to perform functions generally associated with the mind? Deep questions. Deep questions. So here we go. The intelligibility of the positions taken in disputes of these issues depend to some degree on divergent conceptions of the human mind from which they stem. The conclusions achieved in such fields and theories of knowledge, you can see epistemology, metaphysics, logic, ethics, and philosophy of religion, are all relevant to the philosophy of mind. And in its conclusion, in turn, to have more implication for those fields. Moreover, the reciprocity applies as well to the relations of such empirical decisions as neurology, psychology, and sociology, and history. Consciousness is psychology conditions defined by the English philosopher John Locke, and the perception of what passes in a man's own mind. So the early views in the 19th century and the concepts were variously considered by philosophers regarding this kind of substance of mental stuff. It was quite different from the material substance of the physical world. And others thought of this as an attribute characterized by sensation and a voluntary movement, which separated animals from men from the lower forms of life, and also described as a difference between normal walking state of animals and men in their condition when asleep or in a coma or under anesthesia, later a condition described as unconsciousness. How about that one?
Mm-hmm.
Now, other descriptions included an analysis of consciousness as a form of relationship or act of the mind and objects toward in nature, and a view of consciousness as a full was a consciousness field or a stream of essential mental sense data, roughly similar to the ideal of the early empirical philosophers. This method was employed by earlier writers, and observing consciousness was introspective, looking within one's own mind to discover the laws and operations. This limitations of method was became apparent when it was found that because of different preconcepts, trained observers in the laboratory often could not agree on fundamental observations, right? And then I'm gonna go with that train of thought. So the behaviorist views, they failure to introspect, the reveal the constant laws led to a rejection of all mental states as proper subjects for the scientific study. And behaviorist psychology, derived primarily from the work of an American psychologist, John B. Watson, in early 1900s. The concept of consciousness was irrelevant to the object of investigation of human behavior, which was doctrinarily ignored in research. Neurobehaviorists, however, adopted a more liberal posture toward mentalistic states such as consciousness.
Yeah.
So the neuropsychological mechanism, the consciousness depended on a function of the brain, has been known from ancient times. And although detailed understanding of the neuromechanism of consciousness has not been achieved, correlations between the states of consciousness and functions of the brains are possible. Levels of consciousness in terms of level of alertness, responsiveness are correlated with patterns of electrical activities of the brain, which is brain waves, recorded by electronic photograph that's during wide awake consciousness and the pattern of the brain waves that's consistent of rapid, irregular waves, low amplitude, and voltage or voltage. In contrast, during sleep, when consciousness can be said to be at minimum, the brain waves are much slower and greater amplitude and often coming in a periodic bursts of slow waxing and waning aptitude. And that's by Paul Thiergard, right? And you'll find that there. So everybody know conscious is woke and unconscious is sleep. So this is all this is. Right. So the true unfolding is that the laws of visible and humanity continues the effort to align our understanding of universal or scientific laws in the sense of the justice and the mortality of natural laws together shape the future that seeks the balance of progress and equality and sustainability. So scientific laws provide a framework to solve practical challenges and expanding knowledge, and natural laws often for a moral compass and a guide in action to ensure progress benefits all humanity. And this dynamic interplays ensures that these universal laws remain both relevant and transformative in addressing the complexities in the modern world. So the universal as a whole is a holistic framework. The universal whole is a totality of laws and principles that govern everything. Physical laws govern matter and energy, e.g., gravity and thermodynamics, and spiritual/metaphysical laws govern intangible and energetic aspects, laws of attraction, karma, and the natural laws govern ethics, morality, and human interactions. It's akin to hierarchy and universal laws and overarching structure describing all-inclusive principles to apply to cosmos and natural laws that are subset within the hierarchy addressing phenomenon specific to life, especially human conduct when within the natural laws as an expression of universal laws. And the natural laws are expression of a universal principle tailored to the ethics of moral dimension of existence.
And wait a minute before you go to the next slide or whatever. Okay, now I've been listening all this time and I'm absorbing it. It's very interesting, and I'm pretty much comprehending. Okay, now we're talking about universal laws, right? Okay,
right.
Laws of the universe. I've often talked about that with certain people. Now, I guess I would pose the question to you that do you believe that the universe really does operate on I mean, like here on Earth, there's laws that are created by man, there's a law, if you kill somebody, you go into jail, you rape somebody, you steal, whatever. There's the laws on the books, that prohibit people from doing that. But as far as universal laws, as far as like, okay, for instance, like I mentioned earlier, you said we'll get to that, like karma, for instance, like I'm thinking that karma ties in with universal law. Okay, like they say, and like the Bible talks about how what you reap is what you sow. Okay,
right.
Now me personally, I'll make the statement. I'll say this: I believe that if you let me just say this: I believe that people create good karma and they create bad karma, and I believe that falls up under the guise of universal laws. So what you put out there is coming back to you. If you put good out there, more like I believe good is coming back. You put bad out there, bad is coming back. Those are the laws of the universe, and I do believe, me personally, I believe that the universe really does operate on a certain law system.
That's true.
Okay, anybody want to respond to that or give your opinion or whatever to that? So, well,
you're right.
Hey,
Rasha.
Hey, I just made it on over.
Do you believe
I was thinking in terms of like the universal laws being like, you know how a fish out of water? If a fish is out of water, they can't survive.
Right, absolutely.
Just like a lion in maybe the North Pole, he won't be able to survive. A polar bear in the sub-Saharan desert.
That's right.
You know, so it's a lot. It's a lot to that.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah, but the universe is so mysterious.
It's vast.
Yeah, it's vast, and then like Tina Marie said in her song "Deja Vu," I've been here before. The universe is vast, and it never ends. So
experiencing that.
They make 1,000. They can make 1,000 Hubble telescopes to look out at the universe. But man, there's regions of the universe that is
never been touched,
trillions of light years away. We'll never know.
Not even discovered yet, huh?
Huh?
Not even discovered. Never been touched.
That's right. Not discovered. Never, and it never will.
Right.
Never will. So
right.
I said enough, hey, but when we got to this universal laws and all that natural laws about that kind of like, I kind of wanted to kind of like interject and kind of like,
no, you're fine. You're fine.
Get some feedback on that. So
no, you're fine.
I'm done talking. So.
Anybody else?
Yeah, because I was experiencing, like you was talking about the deja vu. I was experiencing that a couple of times this week, and I was like, wow. And whenever I would experience that, it would alarm me until a long time ago, a lady told me, when you're experiencing deja vu, it's just like having a street marker or a national landmark that tells you you're on the right path because you're going the way that you know that you're supposed to be going, because the deja vu is there to just make sure it's assisting you to that you're on the right path. So I would get alarmed a long time ago when I would have it, but now it's like, okay, I'm at peace with it.
Yeah.
Come on. I've heard many of alignments and different times and different things that say you're in alignment, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so it's about this mindset. So again, when y'all do this thing that y'all doing on corporate conversations, I sit back and I listen, because the alignment and the thing that y'all teaching is that much important, right? A lot of people don't understand the benefit in this training that's free, because a lot of people, I remember at one time, people used to say, I didn't go to bed with you. I didn't sleep with you last night. And that was a way of saying good morning, even if it ain't good, you see? And so this is that, bringing it back, right? You didn't have to, you don't come to work with that attitude you was left home with.
Right.
And then, so that mindset.
It's a whole new atmosphere.
There you go.
It's a new atmosphere.
Right. And so you have to bring that. If you want to have a good day, you have to have a good day.
Yeah, it's like mood setting.
Exactly. So that mindset of your day is your day. If you don't want a good day, then you're going to make everybody else's day bad because you're not having a good day.
Very good point. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why they say misery love company.
It sure does.
They don't. Yeah. Misery, I saw that movie. She did not want no company. She held that company hostage.
She held them hostage.
You see what I'm saying? She didn't want no company.
What a movie. What a story.
She held them hostage. She tried to break their feet. You don't treat company like that. She didn't want no company. She wanted somebody to hold hostage. She wanted somebody to tell what to do. She wanted to, right? That was not company. You see? So that's right, because most of the time when somebody misery and then you come in happy, you do everything you can to cheer them up. And guess what? When you leave, you sad, miserable, crying, hurt, and they happy. Why? Because they gave you everything they was feeling, and now they feel good, and you feel like they did. So no, they didn't want company.
That's a very good metaphor. That's so true.
Too, and now they happy. So no, when you do in the medical field, you do 2-3 chances, and after that, that's it. You can't make somebody, this is not a baseball game, you can't make somebody do what they don't want to do. So if they don't want to be happy, then you need to go head on before they take your happiness. And you can't let nobody take your happiness. This is one thing I love about Gemini the Goddess. This girl will throw up her energy field and she gonna let you know, hold up, you're not finna take my good. You're gonna have to take that and go somewhere else. You're not finna, and she will hit the button. And you're not gonna take her energy. You're not finna take and all her good positivity stuff and throw your bad negativity stuff on you. And she's gonna turn that button on you and put up her energy field. And you're gonna be looking out the window talking about something, oh, I can't come over. I can't put no energy up. No.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah,
what I'm
saying? That makes a lot of sense because
so there you go. So this is all we saying. So this is if you want peace.
Yeah.
If you want a good day, if you want it, you can't sit here. Everybody is not gonna have this. At the end of the day, Janet Jackson, you better be the one in control.
Amen to that. Yes, that's right, Janet Jackson.
Yeah, now that makes perfectly good sense.
Right. So if
You
you're
landed
not
really well.
expecting not to have no flaws, you're gonna have flaws. You're gonna have this, but that don't mean that's the end of everything, right?
Well, you know what, Sakina.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you live any amount of time, any period of time, this is all you'll learn that happiness comes from within you.
That's right.
There you go.
Like I tell me and LaShawn work in the same building at the IRS. We see a lot of sad, angry faces. We pass by many people all day long, and I noticed that. I mean, it's been going on for years. I've noticed that people mad, angry, won't smile, got that disgruntled scowl on their face. But one motivational speaker said something a couple of times that made a lot. He said the reason why most people are unhappy is because they're unfulfilled. And and unfulfillment leads to discord and discontent. It really does. It's the truth. And see, you know what I know what I've told people, and this is coming from me. I didn't read this in a book. Didn't nobody tell me this. I didn't see it on a television program, in a movie, whatever. I mean, there are some people, okay, like let's say if you take someone who's been poor all their life, and their thing is, okay, if I become rich, I'll be so happy. And my thing is, no, you won't, because happiness starts from within you. You'll be comfortable. You may have material comforts, you have money, but that still won't make you happy. Or let's say if you got someone that's lonely and single, and if I meet the man of my dreams or the woman of my dreams, I'll be so happy. And my thing is, no, you won't. Because if you're not happy before you so-called meet this man or woman of your dreams, you're still not going to be happy. It comes within. Happiness is internal. It's not external.
Yes.
That's it.
It comes from within you. Not you can't find it in other people and in material things and money.
All these other places.
You'll find temporary comfort, or you'll find whatever. But in the end, if you're not happy before all that takes place, you're still not gonna be happy when it does take place.
Right.
That is so true. And it preschool, and I'm looking at these little preschoolers. Little girl comes in, she's just as pretty as I don't know what. Two of the other little preschoolers around the same age. You think you look cute. And nobody had to tell them to do that. This is just the little kids by themselves. So it is innate. It's something that's in you. You have to cultivate it. For me, it starts with me. If I want it, I need to make sure it's coming through me.
Yeah. There you go. You're right. Absolutely.
You're so right. You're so right. All right. So where are we?
Okay, but you know what? We're moving on, but real quick.
All right. So now the law of balance is that the universal, it mirrors the natural law of fairness, equality, harmony in human relationships and the social structures, societal structures. This means that that the natural laws don't exist separately, but specifically in relations or applications of universal principles. In this context of human life or mortal universal framework, the example in integrated physical and natural dimensions. The universal laws like gravity or thermodynamics govern the physical aspects of reality, while natural laws govern how human interacts with and utilizes those physical principles, ethological stewardships, and of the environment. Now, the ethological spiritual dimensions, and we know that spiritual dimensions are just life, right? Those universal spiritual laws, such as interconnectedness, as
Can you
respected.
slow it down some, sis, so I can follow along?
Okay, I'm sorry. I need to.
Thank
I
you.
need to. I need to. I'm sorry. So, ethical and spiritual dimensions, universal spiritual laws, such as interconnectedness, as reflected in natural laws, as moral obligations to respect others and promote connective well-being. Modern understanding of universal whole science and mortality intersect. For example, climate change is governed by physical laws. That's the greenhouse effect and thermodynamics. And our ethical responsibility to address it comes from natural physical principles like justice, sustainability, and collective good, holistic system thinking. That's contemporary decisions on universal whole as seen in interconnectedness systems where natural laws are embedded in the greater cosmic and scientific order. So in conclusion, natural laws are not separated, but they're woven into fabric in the universal whole, representing the moral and the ethical expression of universal principles in human life. The universal wholeness unites the dimension of physical, metaphysical, and moral, showing the natural laws are both reflected in the functional subset of a broader, universal framework. As above, so below. I think we went into that with this more so sewing into the hole in the ozone layer.
Okay, how many more slides do you have?
We can break this into two if you want. I got probably about 21 left.
Woo!
So, because I'm going to end it with this. I'm not going to do any more on the Hermeticism after this. So, according to some modern philosophical theories, common sense views, minds are amendable to scientific study because they're immaterial, supernatural, like in souls, our spirit. So, again, you go to body dualism. Cognitive science, in contrast, treats the mind as a whole, a holy material. It aims to collect empirical evidence bearing on mental processes and phenomena to develop theories that explain evidence which can come from many disciplines. Y'all, come on, help me. Disciplines. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see where you are.
Y'all know I'll be caught up on these words sometimes. Psychologists, for example, collect behaviors and evidence and studies of languages, comprehensions, interferences, making social interactions and emotional experiences. Linguistics systematically gather evidence about how people produce and understanding sentences as well structured and meaningful. Neuroscientists uses brain scan and other techniques to investigate the neural activity that accomplishes different kinds of thoughts, and anthropologists study the nature and conditions that occur in many different cultures and contexts.
Can I say something? Can I ask all three of y'all something?
Go ahead.
I'm curious, just real quick. Why do you all think that some people have a very high level of intelligence, and then other people have problems with learning disability? Why I'm asking all three of you all that.
You know what? Let me start this out. Can somebody give him the link to Community of Skeptics? They can answer your question over there.
Right.
I'm sure.
Right. Because they are really into science, and they are really into the brain. And all of that. So when it comes to science, that's what they are into, honestly.
Yeah, because to be quite honest, I don't really care about intelligence that way. Like what makes all I care about is if you're able to catch up.
Okay.
To understand.
Okay.
People's experiences have
We
a
can
way
say
of
that for another
to
time. I'm sorry, y'all.
their
they get
experiences
into
have a way
Yeah,
of
you know,
they get
interfering with
into
how they
they get into the real depth of all these things. Like
Mhm.
science, when it comes to science, like they did a whole thing on the brain, the 7.5 of the brain, and when it comes to getting into all of that, even on this, like metaphysics, science, epistemology, and all of that, they get into that. I'm not into that.
they care a great deal, and so
Exactly. So when we
you
give
know
our
that's
shouts
just
out,
that's how you get down.
yeah, we give our shouts out to the do, because of that, like
We're a little too
metaphysics and all of
liberal for
that.
all of that.
Yeah, we don't get that deep into that. What
We have
we're doing here is
views
only,
over here. Okay.
yeah, we're only into the Kybalion. But if you want to get into the science and all of that physics,
okay.
and get some calendars and all of that
She
kind of
said
stuff.
we're into the Kabbalah. Yeah.
Yeah, they into that. They're into that. This is just a universal principle.
Okay.
Right. That's
Right.
it. Right. That's it.
Okay.
So this is only because science and religion and science, religion, and laws go together. That's only the connection.
Okay.
If those things weren't connected, then this would not be a conversation only.
Oh, okay.
They were born and inbred and indoctrinated together, and then somewhere along the line they were separated. But that's the only thing that they have in commonality.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And that's the only reason. And they all started that way, and then they eventually became categorized and spread it out indifferently. But that's it.
Okay.
Okay, so when the contributions of philosophy, because philosophy and all of these things separated as well. Okay. Right. So when we get down here, we can go here for computer science. Right. And then when you get into computer science, I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit. When you get into computer science, it's being a cognitive science for two reasons, right? It's for the computation and being invaluable at one point, thinking that it might be a natural process, right? And then previously they thought that the theories of the mind relied on clumsy and unproductive analogies, right? Such as the clocks, the switchboards. But then the advent of the computer made it possible to see how mechanic devices could solve complex problems, right? And then by that approach, you'll see later that we came up with more than just a computer, right? Yeah. So given the process of the computer model, and then that program and all the algorithms and mimicking and the entities progress, and the processes of the hypothesis in that program ran into empirical theories of the mind, and it was invaluable in the education programs and all this, and it became even harder. And I threw my little smart shit in there, harder, not smarter, because they threw in people from other programs and such, and they made jobs and things and made these human factors for engineerings and programs to advance and make these cognitive sciences things, and all the way up to medicine and all these programs to show how these things became useful and make them modules to advance in the world in science, not only science, but medicine and X, Y, and Z today. So now cognitive science has played particular central in medication, and it's important for mental illnesses now. It's showing in depression, schizophrenia, and for a whole lot of explanation and treatments requiring the understanding now it can do for cognitive and neural processes, and understanding and operating the underlining for those healthier minds now, for understanding where they used to use it for placebos. Remember the sugar pills and things they was giving out saying, oh, that's just in your mind.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, when they were doing that Tuskegee experiment.
Exactly. So just like when you was talking about those new telescopes and whatnot that they're doing out there, well, now they really starting to put that effort into it, that work into it.
Yeah.
Right. So now they are paying more attention because of that. So now understanding their history reveals that human pursuit in order and the meaning, whether the ethical lens of natural law or empirical rigor or scientific laws, each continues to shape a thought in profound ways. You see what I'm saying? So now that natural law and that philosophy and ethics and scientific laws today reflects humanity's and its evolving understanding of mortality and justice and the universe as well. And it interplays between traditional principles and modern changes. And again, this was also some of the things that y'all was talking about today. You see what I'm saying? Those changes, and people have to adapt, accept, and go with the changes. And it's a mindset. So, how the law is shaping and changing in the contemporary world today, the natural law and the modern times application, human rights and global justice. Natural law is underprint framework for just like the Human Declaration of Human Rights. Right? That's a certain changes are inherited to all people, regardless of local laws or custom movements or social justice, climate justice, economic equality, evoke for natural laws, principles, and arguing for universal moral obligations to protect vulnerable populations and just the planet. The international laws, right? The ideas to influence international treaties and agreements just for those to address wars, crimes, refugee rights, and environmental protection. For example, the Paris Agreement or the climate change just reflects on a global moral duty to address shared environmental concerns, right? That's a universal concern. You have moral and ethical debates like the bioethics, the artificial intelligence, that's AI, right? Energy engineering, genetic engineering raises questions about universal moral principles. Philosophical and ethical use of natural laws to argue for ethical boundaries in technology and medicine. You have challenges on tension and cultural relativism versus university. You also have in a diverse world, the university of natural laws is often contested. Some argue about moral principles that must adapt to cultural, historical, and social contents. And then you have global inequality. Inequality, I'm sorry, y'all. Despite to the universal ideas of natural law, you have disparities in power and resources that hinder the application and leading to debates all over fairness and international systems like trade, immigration, and the global governance. And we see that right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep, sure do.
You also have scientific universal laws and modern research application and technology innovations. You have the global problem solving with the greenhouse effect, right? I'm not going to read all these because I'm unsure enough. I think we've been here for a couple of hours now.
Yeah, I need to get off myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we have challenges and tension and some limits in universal and quantum mechanics and general relativity with ethical implications. Let me go. Right. So we've seen a lot of change, but we've seen a lot of challenges, but just more so over, we've come far with the universal laws as a whole, right? And then as an individual, some of us, not all of us, need to see it as a people and the manifestation of a people, right? In the cosmetic order of us as a people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I just encourage, because again, we've been here for a while, and I just appreciate everybody. So again,
Thank
with the
you.
new author of James Allen, he quoted in one of his books, it was called The New Arthur. He said, circumstances don't make a man, they reveal him. So I only assumed that that meant that the outer world and the circumstances that are revealing your inner world. So to change your circumstances, you got to change the way you think, which includes how you feel and what you assume to believe. To be life equals existence. So be life, be in existence, y'all. Right? So these are just understanding the universal and the law of vibration, right? And that just tells you that everything in the law, in the universal law of vibration, says nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates, right? The whole world in the universe vibrates. It's nothing but a vibration, and that confirms that it's energy, pure energy, and that's you. You're pure energy, even you vibrate. And there's the only difference between all manifestations in the conscious mind, be it matter, thoughts, emotions, things, or circumstances, is that the correspondence of the rate of that vibration, right? And so you are that energy, you are that vibration, you are that manifestation. That is all you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's been said that everything in the universe is energy. Yeah.
Right. That's why they for a pulse.
Say it again now,
When
Ron.
they're checking for life, they check for a
Welcome to Smokin'
pulse.
Conversations with
Yeah.
Sakina-Ra.
I'm sorry. This might be
Today,
this last video.
we are going to diving into a powerful concept that could change the way you see the world. We're talking about the law of correspondence, the idea that everything in our reality is shaped by our mind. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll understand how to tap into the creative power of the universal mind to transform your life. So, what exactly is the law of correspondence? It's one of the 7 Hermetic principles from ancient philosophy, and it states, as above, so below, as below, so above. In simple terms, it means that the patterns we see in the world around us reflect what's happening inside our minds. Our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions shape our reality on 3 levels: the physical, mental, and spiritual planes. Let's start with the physical plane. This is the world we experience through our senses. What we see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. According to the law of correspondence, our physical reality is a reflection of our mental and spiritual states. If you think positively and believe in abundance, you're more likely to experience a life full of opportunities and success. On the flip side, negative thoughts and limiting beliefs can manifest as obstacles and challenges. Next is the mental plane. This is where our thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes reside. The law of correspondence tells us that what we think and believe on this plane directly influences our physical reality. By changing our thoughts and beliefs, we can reshape our experiences and the world around us. This is why mindset is so crucial in personal development. Ever heard the saying, change your mind, change your life? That's the law of correspondence in action. Finally, we have the spiritual plane. This is the realm of our higher self, our connection to the universal mind or the divine. When we align our spiritual beliefs and values with our thoughts and actions, we create harmony across all planes of existence. This alignment allows us to tap into the creative power of the universal mind, enabling us to manifest our deepest desires and live a life of purpose and fulfillment. So how do you apply this in your life? Start by examining your thoughts and beliefs. Are they positive and empowering, or negative and limiting? Practice mindfulness and meditation to become more aware of your mental patterns. Align your thoughts with your highest values and spiritual beliefs. Visualize your goals and affirm your success regularly. Remember, the law of correspondence isn't about wishful thinking, it's about aligning your entire being with the reality you want to create. In conclusion, understanding the law of correspondence can help you see how your mind shapes your reality on every level. By aligning your thoughts, beliefs, and actions with your highest self, you can transform your life in profound ways. Embrace the creative power of the universal mind and watch as your reality begins to shift for more personal growth and self-improvement. Thanks for watching. I hope that you find this presentation and video helpful. If so, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more. On Smokin' Conversations with Sakina-Ra, and for that business perspective,
Don't forget, Corporate Conversations with Gemini and Rasha has just what you are looking for. So grab your coffee and come on in the room. See you in the next video. We appreciate you.
All right.
Okay, so I have a question.
Welcome to Smokin' Conversations.
Okay.
So that entire video you're saying is Kybalion teaching?
Yeah.
Or you're saying it's similar?
I'm gonna say it's similar.
I'm kind of okay. Yeah, I'm a little confused by it.
I'm gonna say it's similar. I'm gonna go with similar.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, because
I'm gonna say similar,
and
I'm
talking about one thing, and then it just went into another thing. Did I
no.
see that right? Or okay, or two different things going on at the same time? Could be.
No. All of the 7 should be the same, but I'm gonna say similar to say safe. That's why I mentioned different books, because I'm saying universal laws, but I know that they are based. So I'm going to say similar and say these laws, because if you say with universal laws, then you will be fine just looking up that. Okay. But when I look up the Kybalion, so far from what I've read, the principles are the same.
Well, okay, hold on. Okay, so then can we at least identify which part of that video went with which thing we were talking about?
It went exactly with what it was saying, because I fed it. So it only said what I told it to say.
Okay.
I fed it the information. So the law of correspondence. Okay. Yeah, that is actually the law of correspondence. So yes, that's true. I only got 6 more slides and I'm done. So yeah, that was actually the law of correspondence. So it didn't fit. I don't even think I got 6. I think I got 3. But that's actually the law of correspondence. And that is in the Kybalion. So the laws are the same. How they instruct or read, I'm not actually sure. So some of it I did take, but all of it I didn't. Because again, I'm not trying to stick to a religion or what have you, because my walk was not the same, nor was my teaching. So I'm just staying with a principle. That's it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if
when you say it's a principle, yeah, then we tend to do understand it a lot better.
Okay, because I can't help that it was called a law. I can't help that it was called a law. It was just called a law. That's why I said the etymology of things, because it is what it is. I can't help that. That's not I didn't say that.
I was just trying to figure out, like, okay, it's still then, if it's principle, which principle matches what thing? Which is
still
the
same.
Kabbalah and which is the Hermeticism.
No, it's still the same. Right. A principle is more of a way of life, and that it is what it is, and it was still a principle, but somewhere along the line somebody called it a law, and so I have to stick with what it was called when it was called that. I can't change.
I guess it's the way that they were trying to preface it is by governing yourself.
Exactly.
And how we govern ourselves accordingly.
Exactly. So at one point it was called universal laws governed by, you see what I'm saying? But I don't know who governed them. So I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying? Because then it would just,
because we're supposed to be governing ourselves.
Exactly. So therefore, I'm going to leave it at that. So you can do what must be, because that would be under your religion, under your governing, under your, and I don't want to get into that because that becomes personal.
Yeah, very personal.
Okay, so this is a personal journey, and so this is where you make it personal. Right? Because otherwise we will become cult, and we're not.
Yep, very good point.
This is personal. I am schooling you to become personal. We are not attached.
The last time I checked, I was a single birth.
Exactly. This is information for you personally.
Yeah.
That's it. So this is not that. This is personal information. Put it in your book bag, write it down, walk away. We can talk about anything. We're not going to argue about nothing. It's personal information.
Yes, it is.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
So
but that's why I had to ask, because
no,
I
I'm
need to know what
not.
read.
You didn't say nothing wrong, sister. You didn't say nothing
No,
wrong.
I'm not saying that I did. I'm
Right.
just pointing that out.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yes.
Uh,
So we left off on the as above, so below. This is what you're talking about, as within, so without. And it just means harmony, agreement, and correspondence between physical, mental, and spiritual planes.
yeah.
Planes just mean lines. Lines, whether you can see them or not see them. Lines. Simply put, there's no separation, since everything, including you, is mind. The only difference is the rate of vibration, as a third of the universal law tells us. The same pattern is expressed on all planes of existence, from the smallest electron to the largest star, from the visible physical plane to the invisible spiritual plane. So the practical use of the law of correspondence that allows you to logically understand that the natural of those things beyond you to understand, by studying the natural of those things that you do understand and finding the analogy. For instance, by understanding the creative aspect of the universal mind can be precisely understanding your mind creates your reality. And if you can understand the state of your outer physical world by looking at your inner mental world, similarly as your inner mental world can be related to you by looking at your outer physical world. Your world can be beautiful if you make your world beautiful.
That is so
Dorothy.
true. Yeah.
Dorothy.
Kind of like what we was talking about a minute ago. Yeah.
Right. So that's why I use the Wizard of Oz for a video.
Yeah.
So the higher rate of vibration is the less or more subtle, less physical that thing is. The lower rate of vibration, the more dense or less subtle, more physical that thing is. On the physical plane, everything you experience in your 5 physical senses is conveyed to your brain through vibrations. Remember this, if you lose your eyesight, you can still see through hearing. Remember? You can still see through feeling, by touching. This is how they sit, and they can still hear, or they could still dance through feeling the vibration of music through their feet, remember? But we don't know that because we still can see. But they could still type by feeling braille through their fingers. So thought vibrations on a mental plane, when you emanate thought waves through each thought wave, its signature frequency abets visibility through your physical senses. The overall frequency of your mental nature is determined by what you persistently think, feel, imagine, believe, and so on, which turns determinatives the corresponding nature of your projected 3D experience. And since you can consciously choose your thoughts, you can intentionally increase the rate of vibration of your mental frequency by thinking more positive thoughts of a higher frequency. And the axiom like higher energy, like energy attracts like energy. This is the law of attraction. And it's based on founder of the law of attraction. So you can learn to control your mental vibrations, which will consciously choosing what you focus on what you image. And that is what you assume and how you emotionally react to the outer world circumstances. And similarly, you can choose or you can change your core belief and reprogram the subconscious mind and the foundation of the true thought power. This is like saying, I'll never have no luck. Nothing good never happens to me. Right?
Or I'm gonna win.
Nobody never gives me nothing. Do you ever give anybody something?
Mm.
You see, these kind of things.
I've heard that a lot from people.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe if you never
All my life I had to fight.
Right. Have you always
that line sounds familiar.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. You always find out this type of stuff about people, and maybe it's this type of stuff you are to people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, because sometimes people have a really bad state of mind. You might have a lot of good points, but it's so negative. Who wants to be around it?
Exactly. So it's important that we know, in accordance with the law of vibration, the higher rates in vibration and the directive power over lower vibrations of the vibrations. This means the higher degree of the consequences toward your higher self and the greater and directive power over the denser degrees of the consciousness below it, including your mental plane and the 3D physical plane. And then explain why the higher you go. I'm sorry. What you saying, son?
I'm saying it takes work
to
start to ascend. It's like you're climbing up the ladder, and you want to have all of these things around you that are positive in nature, but you have to do the work. It takes work to do that.
No work, no reward, but it's all for yourself.
That's right.
Remember, because this doesn't reward you, nor does it punish you. It's all about you. And sometimes I have to remind some people that they beating up themselves. You're your worst critic.
Right.
And you are doing so wonderful. I don't think you know this.
Yeah.
It's kind of like driving a car.
Some people, Sakina, some people are just driven perfectionists, like they'll never be good enough. You see what I'm saying, Rasha? Yeah.
They're trying to top the next thing that they're going to do. They're trying to top.
I don't think that's what it is. I think some people are just so much givers that they'll mess around and give themselves away if somebody don't stop them, because they give so much that they don't even understand. You see what I'm saying? Because that's how they are. They so much givers that if they don't know it, right, and that sometimes people don't even understand that they be that green diamond, that gem, right? And if they give so much, they'll lose themselves and give themselves away, and then you be like, listen here, I found you over there, and you way over here still working. You see what I'm saying? And this is why. You see, and so let me finish. We almost done, y'all, and then we can be done. I appreciate y'all so much.
Now we appreciate you too.
Listen, so.
Oh, well, oh, deeply scarred, somebody's broken heart, and a washed out dream. They follow the pattern of the wind, you see, 'cause they got no place to be. That's why I'm starting with me. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make a change.
So everybody knows that this award-winning message was created in the mind, and it was given life through a song. And Michael Jackson created this workshop in his mind, and it was shaped by virtues and given a hand. And they gave life to it by this external song, born in the imagination and nurtured by wisdom. He said in Oprah Winfrey interview. He said he hear these songs in his mind all the time, and then he can hear the music playing. He can hear the music, right? He's written several songs, and he sung Nigerian Girl, and you can hear him sing shoe, shoe, shoe. That's the word of wind, shoe, shoe, right? And so you can just notice when he's singing in the fertile roots, they lie fertile soil, ethics and honesty, compassion, justice, and courage. It carries the melody of human spirit, the song that transcends body and speaking to hearts and languages unspoken. And this message is instantly and merely created just in the breath into existence. And the symphony is thought of this morally and is carried from his heart and harmony into life. Because that song lives and it still carries on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why I'm getting stuck. So in closing, there's several universal laws and principles by the universe, and you've heard of other ones as well. So, and they all just fall under the umbrella of the seven principles, of the seven hermetic principles, which have been used to refer as to ones that maintain harmony under the order of the universal, just universal, y'all. And so said these ancient mystics and esoteric and secret teachings dating back to more than 5,000 years from ancient Egypt to ancient Greece. And from all those who claimed to have been taught and learned, or who had a common thread in knowledge and understanding to these seven hermetic laws of the universe, which I cannot attest. However, what I do know is that once you understand and apply and align yourself with these universal laws, you will experience transformation in every area of your life beyond what you ever dare to imagine. And govern these laws will give you self-mastery. And they don't punish you, nor do they reward you, for they're just an interpersonal operating automatically within your unconsciousness and the lines without your conscious participation. Right? They're mutable and they're unmutable laws of a universe, as above, so below, as within, so without. And with that, I'll close. I thank you all for joining.
Bravo. This has been what I call just mentally stimulating, just very refreshing and enlightening, and oh man, I can use a lot of other words to describe it. I really enjoyed this. I really did. Yeah, what a way to spend your Saturday, man. This has really been good for me. It really has.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah. I've been telling you for the longest. So what made you change your mind this time, Julie? I've been asking you forever. And you
change my mind about what? Change my mind about what?
Coming online. I keep saying that.
Well, no, I mean,
look at that.
Other times I probably didn't come on because I probably was busy doing something, but I put it this way. When it comes to just anything in life, sometimes we just have to make time. I mean,
that's right.
Okay, well, I'm glad you make time.
I don't have time. But we all learn in life. You have to make time. Like Sakina was talking about in one of them slides about dreams and goals and all that and stuff, that people may have, and and where they want to go in life and be. But I've just learned that I've heard many people say, well, I like to do something, I like to do this, I like to do that, but I just don't have time. I don't have time. But many people who have gone on to live their dreams and gone on to achieve their goals, they had to make time.
That's right.
Make time. You really do.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay, well, again, thank you for making time for over here.
I thank everybody for making time. Thank you. I mean, we all
we appreciate you, and I hope you make time to come back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. this feeds my spirit, feeds my soul. It does. It's
Right.
good, man.
Thank you.
I told you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because I'm a
You wanna-
student. I'm a lifetime student. I always want to learn. I never want to
Well,
stop
it's time to
learning.
get in the game, okay? Oh man,
Yeah.
stop playing. You
Yeah.
got too much. It's time to start sharing some of that which you've obtained.
Yes. Yes.
So you need
Yeah.
to just stop it right now with all those excuses.
Yes. Yes. We are
Right?
so waiting on you.
That's right. You commit to something. That's right.
Oh,
In the
absolutely.
building.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
appreciate you. Oh, 3 hours. I'm so in there. Oh. Well, I'm listen.
Okay, well, you know what? I mean, if you're ready to close, I mean, for sure.
Yes,
Yeah, I certainly have to get off now because I'm starving. I haven't really eaten anything.
I'm ready to eat too. My food should be ready.
Yes, y'all. Yeah, please close out for me. I appreciate it so
you
much.
cooked cabbage, didn't you?
Well, Rasha, did you have anything else? I mean, you can do a round table and see what anybody else has anything else left to say.
By all means, Rasha, you can start off.
No, I everything. I was looking at it from a perspective of how do I react and how do I bring information, and looking at it from the standpoint of different angles and seeing what it is that we need to work on. Developing what it is or the definition is, and how it affects us, and what we bring to the universe in and of ourselves. So it's interesting to see how we can get the sensitivity case, how to look at the natural laws, the universal laws, and to see what that means, and in perspective of how we think it appears to us or appeals to us.
Yeah.
I think I said the other law wrong. It wasn't the natural law, it was the law of force. Only thing that can stop force is equal or greater force. Or the law of, it was the law of. There you go.
Yeah, because I was going to say also, it's kind of like driving a car. You have this big windshield in front of you and you have this mirror at the top, and it lets you see what the past looks like. But continue to look at the mirror and look in the past, you'll at least get into an accident or something bad's going to happen. You have to look forward and keep it moving.
That's right.
Keep driving.
That's a good example. Yeah, very good metaphor. Yes.
I'm so happy you guys both are here tonight. Yeah. I think you guys make great additions on both segments. You know, I absolutely love it. So thank you, Rasha, and thank you, Dewey.
Thank you. Thank you, Sakina. Thank you, Gemini. I mean,
thank you, Sakina.
You mean Gemini. You mean Gemini, not no dagger. You know,
Gemini.
You know what? Stop playing, Dewey.
Right. When corporate conversation comes to spoken conversation, I just like,
I'm gonna say Gemini. I'll probably call you that at work too. I'll see you at work. You're Gemini.
Look, keep it corporate.
Thank you. Keep it corporate.
Keep it corporate.
So that's Miss Dorsey to you.
Miss Dorsey. Miss Dorsey.
We ain't gonna get it twisted.
Okay.
Right.
Get into formalities, huh?
Yes.
Listen,
keep it formal.
Corporate when it's corporate.
That's right.
Listen, when corporate conversations come to smoking conversations, I need a drink.
You know what?
Whatever. It's not.
This is a wonderful thing. Listen, I am overly honored.
It ain't that bad.
I am overly honored. Listen here.
Real quick, Sakina, I wanted to say, I keep looking at that poster, painting, whatever behind that's behind you. Now, I can't say 1,000% sure, but I'll say this much. When I went to Luxor in Egypt, in the Valley of the
cut off.
And I'm gonna tell you, one of the most. I went to like 6 or 7 different temples. I went to Karnak, Ramses II, whoever. But when I went to Hatshepsut's temple, I could have swore I saw something that looks similar to that. What I'm looking at that's behind
Valley of the Queens.
Hatshepsut that was married to Thutmose III. Hatshepsut her temple was absolutely breathtaking. My tour guide there in the Valley of Kings, his name was Awad. When Awad took me to Hatshepsut's temple, I was spellbound. I mean, when I looked at the hieroglyphics and look at the gold trimming and just the just everything in a way was structured, and I said, this is just something that is just simply phenomenal. I mean, it was beautiful. But I keep looking at it, but it looked like one of the walls in her temple. Huh?
You could be true, right?
Yeah.
Because two of these women are wives.
Wives, yeah. Okay. Because you already know, as you already know, Sakina, that Hatshepsut was the only queen who actually ran Egypt like the pharaohs did.
Right. And also, this is a toss-up. Now, I'm finna be the one to say it. She might not have been a wife.
Okay. I'm listening to you.
I just put it out there.
Okay.
So
she
might not have been a
that's that one that
okay,
you brought
so she was
is that the one we were talking about one time you were describing we were talking about? Okay.
Yeah. So she was a pharaoh for show. Yeah, she was a pharaoh for show.
Yes, she was. She was only female pharaoh. Yeah.
Exactly. But was she a wife?
I'll put it this way. If either one of y'all ever make that trip over there and you go to the Valley of the Kings, even I'm just suggesting it, man. Before you see any of them other temples, which there's some other ones too, like Ramses V, he had a beautiful one, and Tutankhamun's temple was nice, but tell them to take you straight directly to the temple of Hatshepsut. You will be spellbound the way it's built, and the walls and the gold and the hieroglyphics.
But you do hear what she's asking you, right? She's saying, because there's some questions, about the male or female. Is she he? Is this supposed to be an androgynous deity?
No, I don't know, but what I'm saying is from my tour guide Awad, when he took me there, he told me, as far as on a historical note, that Hatshepsut was the only female pharaoh of Egypt during the 25 dynasties.
That might be.
She's a powerful woman in Egypt.
But listen, do you think that because is there let me slow it down and ask you a few questions. So my first question is there a birth date for her, right? And also too, do you think that they could have created that deity that way on purpose, either exploiting the femininity or the masculinity? Or
no, it's not her. No, you're talking about Akhenaten. You're talking about Akhenaten. Now, Hatshepsut, she don't have she may not have a birth date or whatnot, but she does have a mother and a father, and she wasn't a deity. She was an actual person.
Yeah, she was an actual person. Like she was Akhenaten. Yeah.
So Akhenaten has a mother and a father as well. But what you talking about? What we talking about is male or female.
Oh, I see what you're saying, Sakina. What was her? Are you speaking in terms of like her true identity, or
not
her sex?
Hatshepsut.
You talking about her? You talking about Hatshepsut?
No, not Hatshepsut.
No.
Oh, okay. You talking about somebody else?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what she's explaining to me right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut. What I was asking you was about. What we was talking about with you was about her actual being. She was the king's or the god at that time known as his daughter. That was not here or there, right?
Yeah.
But was she the pharaoh's wife?
That's a good question.
That part is kind of being tossed around from some of these books I've been reading, because I'm not sure.
Okay.
Wasn't she somebody's sister?
Who had Shepsut?
She was actually a pharaoh, as in king. Yeah. Let's call it like that, because that's what it was. So during the time, women were not. Here we go. I'll be the one that said women were not being. They weren't. They were only
represented.
Come on, I'm finna say it like this: women were only women that were being acknowledged were women of status.
Yeah. Like the Candaces.
Okay, so if they were not queens of royalty status or something to that, they weren't they that's it, period. Yeah. Right? So even if they were in the household, they might not have been known. And even if they were queens, if they were not shown, they were not known. Right. And
but they you mentioned in the house, but they did have servants that worked in the house for them, didn't they?
They were other women, maybe wives, even.
Because you know what? Let me say this real quick, Sakina, that I was reading. It was not matter of fact, something came up on Facebook about Ramses II, whose reign as pharaoh was longer than any of them. He ruled for over 60-something years, but they said he fathered like 140 something children.
Right. He was one probably had the most. He had the most wives.
Yeah, Ramses II.
Right. He had the most wives, and a lot of them didn't have like. Some of them had rank, and they the way they ranked them or had them characterized, like if he went somewhere and he had X amount of wives with him or whatever.
Excuse me.
Right. That was it. But the other ones would be at home, assigned to duties and whatever. And even these of upper status played upper roles or what have you. Right. And so that was pretty much the role of them to a degree. So if something happened to the pharaoh, maybe he was sick and he might have died at home or something. That's how some of these women would be pharaoh, unbeknownst to anybody else.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? And so there were a lot of women pharaohs. I ain't gonna say a lot, but there were women pharaohs that unbeknownst to anybody that were there. So there's a list of queens, like there's a list of kings, and there's a list of queen pharaohs. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I really do.
Queens, right? But all of women that were also wives, no, they're not recognized.
Yeah.
Right.
Wait a minute. You know what? Stay where I want to show you something. Let me cut on a little more light so you probably can see it, hopefully better. I need to dust this thing. I got this when I was in Egypt. Does this look familiar? Hold up. Let's see if I can get it within view where you can.
Oh yes, that is Osiris and Moot and
Pharaoh that's between the two women.
Yeah. Jabari has one of them, and right, he has one of them. Mine look like this.
Okay.
Yeah, Jabari has that one, and
look out now. Yeah, I'm very familiar with that one. Yeah. And what's strange is what I just showed you. Like as soon as you walk into the Museum of Cairo, the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, this very thing that I showed you with the pharaoh between the two women, they have the actual original statue in there that's humongous.
Right. That's only one deity wore that cap. So that's Imhotep.
Oh, Imhotep. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Imhotep. Yeah. Right, because he was the only one who wore that hat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Other pharaohs didn't wear it, did they, Sakina?
No.
This is the back of it. This is the carvings on the back of this The one I just showed you. I'll show you the front, but this is the back of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. I bought it from thank God it wasn't the made in China stuff that you find in the marketplace in Cairo, but this was actually carved by a craftsman. Abdul, my first tour guide that took me to the pyramids and the Sphinx in Saqqara and Memphis. He took me to the shop.
I bought mine in the Chicago Museum.
Huh?
I bought mine in the Chicago Museum.
Oh, look at you. Okay, Chicago Museum.
I forget the historical Chicago Museum, the Oriental Chicago Museum.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Listen, this has been so wonderful. Listen, I'm
y'all
again,
better watch it because we'll be out here till midnight. I get to talking, and then you look at your clock, and it be midnight.
No, I want you to come back, Dewey, and do a whole presentation.
I told you I love to talk, and Miss the Honorable Miss Dorsey right here can tell you.
I know. You, Sakina, are a match made in heaven. You, Sakina, are a match made in heaven. I now pronounce you Dewey Smoking Conversation.
She said smoking conversation.
I'd love to have you. I'm not gonna
thank you. I appreciate it. I enjoy being here. I'm really honored. But let me jump off here, y'all, because like I said, I am really hungry. I tell you, I've been moving today.
Go ahead, Dewey.
Well, everyone have a blessed evening. God bless you. I look forward to everybody soon. Okay, then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Dewey.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Listen, ladies, you guys have been. This was so. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you so much, y'all. Listen. I told you I was gonna steal from you. I had to incorporate you here and there and in and out.
Yeah, I saw all that theft.
Listen,
you just borrowed it.
I ain't gonna say this is my last theft.
Discount.
Right, I ain't gonna tell y'all this is my last theft. Right, because y'all have some wonderful stuff. I can't help that. Right, y'all do admirable work, and I can't help y'all teach like that too. So I'm just glad that I'm able to even know y'all. That's the honor. You know, when you meet people, I'm gonna say the universe put people in your life for reasons and for seasons, and I'm just glad this is a reason and not a season.
All right, it's a meeting of the minds. Meeting of the minds.
Say Ashe, and I'm glad I know y'all, and I'm more so that I love you.
Love you more.
All right, everybody.
Have a wonderful evening.
Y'all too.
She got style, grace. She got attitude. Feel it much.